afternoon. Now time to focus on the teams involved in today's match. We'll start out by talking about the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. And I think you said it at the outset, Quint. We're talking about defense and goaltending. So with Johns Hopkins, it really starts with Jonathan Marcus in goal.
That's right. Hopkins probably is not going to score many goals, so they need Marcus to have a big game. He has started every game in his career. He's a senior, 4-year starter, the all-time saves leader at Johns Hopkins University.
Talking about all-time leaders, how about on the assist side of things, Dave Maher. This is a wonderful player, very nifty player.
Yes, he is. He's the quarterback of the offense, leading assist player, and he needs to have a big game to set up the other guys on the Hopkins offense. Dave Maher, a senior, again, the all-time assist leader. He'll need a big game today.
So look for some of that leadership from Dave Maher. Again, this is a Johns Hopkins team that lost a lot of key players from last season, so we'll look for Dave Maher to help quarterback things this afternoon. For the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays, the win continues to pick up. As we shift gears, talk about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and goaltending is the theme. We'll start with Alex Cade. Everyone's just raving about Alex Cade around the country.
Yes, Alex Cade is a small goalie, but he's extremely quick. Excellent save percentage, about 64%. He has playoff experience, and I expect him to play very well today against Johns Hopkins.
All right, also for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, another player we need to focus on is James Keenan. What does he bring to the Fighting Irish?
Well, he brings a lot of leadership at the midfield and a lot of versatility. He can pass and shoot. His statistics are about 50-50 right down the middle. He is one of the key guys as far as ball control for Notre Dame. They don't make many mistakes offensively, and Keenan is one of the reasons why.
All right, both teams like to play with possession, but could we see one team or another try to be maybe more aggressive, try to force the other team out of their shell?
I don't think so. I think they're going to stick to what got them here. And Hopkins has had some success last week controlling the ball against Loyola. And Notre Dame, as we know, their best defense is their offense. They like to hold the ball. So it's going to be a nail-biter type game where face-offs, goaltending, and the specialty situations are very important.
All right, we'll see how it plays out. We're coming back with the starting lineups and face-off as we continue our coverage of first-round action of the end. Back in Annapolis, Maryland this afternoon. It would be appropriate to go to Quint's keys to the game.
Couple factors you got to look for. Offense. I think Hopkins has the better offense between these two teams. Both teams are ball control oriented, so it should be a low-scoring game. Defensively, Notre Dame with one of the top units in college lacrosse. Actually, they're second in the nation. They can hold teams. Actually, they held Harvard to 6 goals this year. That's fantastic. One of the reasons is because their man-down unit, when they penalize teams, they're holding teams to less than 10% goals scored on the extra man. The intangibles, I think you got to give Hopkins a little favoritism there based on their tough schedule. They've played the toughest schedule in the country, and I think that has them well prepared to play the West Coast representative Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Very good point. Johns Hopkins Blue Jays, arguably one of the tougher schedules in the country. As we look at Bob Schwab, Scott Boyle, and Greg Mallon, they will be our officials for this afternoon's contest. And this is a Johns Hopkins team that you talk about the attack. We talked about Dave Maher, but he anchors a very young attack.
Yeah, Dan Denahan's a player you want to keep your eyes on, number 1 right-hander. And Bond, who's a recent addition to the attack. He has really picked up the tempo. He had a great game last week against Loyola as an initiator from behind, provided a little spark.
Now for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, also some young players to talk about. Chris DeRiso, just a freshman out of Columbus, Ohio, yet he's turned into quite a goal scorer. You don't think of Columbus, Ohio as a lacrosse hotbed.
No, but Notre Dame draws players from all over the East Coast and out west into Ohio and out to Illinois and Chicago area. DeRiso, 27 goals, 2 assists, really primarily a finisher. Look for Keenan to feed DeRiso for a couple Notre Dame goals today.
All right, well, this afternoon, another factor for Johns Hopkins, their leading faceoff man, Werner Krueger. They lost him. He had a broken hand. It was a broken finger, rather. He was out for some time. So, actually, we're talking to Tony Seaman, the head coach yesterday, so that was actually a factor for Hopkins this season.
Yeah, the faceoffs. Krueger really is the emotional leader of this ball club. You'll see him take this opening faceoff. He's banged up. He's got a hamstring problem, a shoulder problem, and a finger problem.
Other than that, he's perfectly healthy. Greg Glinday, the faceoff man for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The Fighting Irish are in the blue jerseys. Johns Hopkins in the white, and Notre Dame after the face-off trying to control things and start things on the attack. And right away, one of the Notre Dame big sticks gets involved in things. They get a shot in tight. Hopkins defense able to close things down. But right away, Notre Dame with Chris DeRiso, we talked about the open, getting a shot right in front of the crease. And Marcus coming up big, and DeRiso was crunched after he took the shot. He paid the price for that moment of space. Notre Dame battle for the ground ball, trying to scoop things up and re-engineer the attack. Johns Hopkins, though, will control. And the Hopkins Blue Jays, Dan Denahan, who we mentioned, with the ball for Johns Hopkins. Can Johns Hopkins 25th NCAA championship appearance, consecutive, I don't need to tell you, Quinn Kessler, about the lacrosse tradition at Johns Hopkins.
No, it's been a rocky season for them. They needed a victory over Loyola last weekend to get into the playoffs. They beat Loyola 12-10, and the way Towson manhandled Loyola this afternoon, that win has declined in value.
Should point out, our first game, Towson State did beat Loyola 16-11. Andrew Godfrey behind the cage for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. So Godfrey surveying things as Burke Hayes is marking him for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Godfrey looking for somebody to feed to. Milford Marchant. Marchant also behind the cage. Again, we're going to see a lot of this afternoon. We anticipate anyway. A lot of patient play on offense. Dave Maher, who we talked about in the open. Milford Marchant. The feed now to Dan Denahan. Denahan, though, gets it checked away from behind. Dave Maher trying to scoop things up. Denahan, the battle for it, but we have a whistle.
It's going to be a loose ball push. Hopkins will maintain possession. It was a play-on call. You watch Notre Dame on defense, they do not make many mistakes at all. And when they do, their goalie's certainly capable. Alex Cade, one of the best in the country, of making the big stop. But fundamental defense, this is a group you've got to watch. They slide well. They're in control. They don't get beat one-on-one. They're a pleasure to watch if you're a lacrosse fan.
Milford Marchant again behind the cage for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays, trying to create something. Takes a shot, but Alex Cade right away controls it. And now the quick outlet. Notre Dame Fighting Irish on the break. James Keenan, who we talked about in the open. Anthony Reed for the Fighting Irish. And Notre Dame now trying to settle in. Will DeRiso. DeRiso with a seam to take advantage of. Takes a shot. Collision right at the top of the crease, but the call is made.
Yeah, we're going to have a crease violation after the shot, and you can see the Hopkins defenseman running off the field with a bent pole. Certainly, when you take the ball towards the heart of the defense here, you're going to have to pay the price. Kuzma getting beaten right there. Gagliardi, 43 with the slide, and Todd Carney came across and just pummeled DeRiso. Carney really adds a physical intensity to this Hopkins defensive unit.
That was Gagliardi, a stick that was also broken, the shaft of the stick, so fortunately, it was the stick that paid the price in that instance. Dan Denahan, it sails over his head. Johns Hopkins, though, the Blue Jays will recover. Adam Bond.
Offensively, you'll see Hopkins invert. They'll play their attack players up at the top of the box, and they'll put their midfielders behind on certain situations. They feel that they've got to mix things up in order to penetrate against Notre Dame's defense. 11:35 left here in the first quarter of play. No score. The Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. A.T. Bailey has come on of late for the Blue Jays quick. In his midfield role. Now good ball movement by Johns Hopkins. For a moment anyway, but they had turnover now. As Ed Zucchelli just could not handle it, and it will be Notre Dame with the possession. But Johns Hopkins was starting to work it around. Early days. Last year, Hopkins scored goals like they were going out of style. They averaged 16 or 17 goals per game. This year, they're only averaging 11, which is down about 5 goals. So they realized that, hey, we're not going to score as many goals, so we've got to control the ball. And that's the kind of offense that we're going to see this afternoon. Real patient, real ball control. J.T. Tremonte with a pass that sails wide. So we've seen both teams, they go through this early process, having some trouble on some passes. Brian Gilfillan. Gilfillan's been a hot player for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, but he gets a stick checked away. Now the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Big stick in transition. And he'll dump it off to Ed Zucchelli. On from the second midfield unit. Gagliardi for Hopkins, number 43, the flamboyant checker. He loves the takeaway check, and he really enjoys taking the ball past the midfield line. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him take a couple shots today. It's Zucchelli behind the cage for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. 10-17 left here. First quarter of play. Matt O'Kelly now with the ball. Trying to dodge around the Notre Dame player. O'Kelly now elects back behind the cage again. A reset. Stick checked away off Dave Maher, and that's no mean trick for that to be done, but Todd Bialis able to handle that and stick checked away from Dave Maher is very good at stick handling. That's going to be an interesting matchup because Maher is not the biggest attackman, but he's kind of strong. Bialis, known for his defensive quickness, and you can see right there, Bialis has excellent feet, and he shuffled around and got Maher on the wrap check. So I look for Maher to try to dodge right-handed and use his body. You can see he's a pretty strong guy, and he'll try to use his size against Bialas, who's really pretty small for a defenseman at 5'8", 155. Watch your wrap check right there. Nice job.
After Notre Dame gained possession, though, a turnover, it's the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays to bring things up and get the offense going. But we've seen some errant passes on both teams early on in the contest, but that can be just a process of getting into the flow of the game. Both teams having the second game of a doubleheader, and maybe you could speak this. A long time to wait to get on the field. Dave Maher. Check to the turf. We're going to push against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Bialas to deal with Deep Barney. We were talking about that matchup. We're getting it back to Hopkins and Notre Dame. They've had to wait a few hours to get on this field. The first game between Towson State and Loyola. Shot taken by the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays, loose in the crease. Benching up for the shot. Billy Evans from his midfield position for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Now Notre Dame have had trouble getting through midfield after the clear, and that trouble continues to be a problem as Andrew Godfrey scoops it up for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Godfrey now, still no score. 8:54 left first quarter. Johns Hopkins in the white jerseys, Notre Dame in the blue. And there's that matchup. You really pinned it. Bialas of Notre Dame on Dave Maher. Milford Marchant. Marchant giving it to Dan Denahan, but Denahan losing him momentarily, and that Notre Dame defense closes right away and forces Denahan way away from the restraining line. Billy Evans now for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. He takes a shot. It's a goal. Johns Hopkins with the first goal of the game. And Billy Evans, the junior from Baltimore, striking for the Blue Jays.
Evans is one of the finest shooters in the country. He's got such great form with the overhand shot. Notre Dame doing a nice job defensively, but Hopkins has possessed the ball for the vast majority of this first 7 minutes of the ball game. And eventually, when you possess the ball for so long, good things are going to happen. And that was a case where Notre Dame overplayed Evans, top of the box, and he's got good speed, good quickness, and he finishes the shot. Watch it right here. Evans loses the ball initially, picks it up, and then Notre Dame is slow to slide. And watch the placement. Straight overhand to the lower left-hand corner. A very, very difficult save.
After the face-off possession to Johns Hopkins, that's now a 9-game goal-scoring streak for Billy Evans. It was 8 games heading into today's contest, so he continues his consistency for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. And speaking of consistency, the Hopkins team continues with possession. Matt O'Kelly behind the cage for Johns Hopkins. And you're right about the possession for Notre Dame. It just has not been there. As Johns Hopkins, nifty play, nifty idea. They just could not finish as O'Kelly was coming through making a cut. And he took the shot, but just could not finish. This one sails over A.T. Bailey's stick. And it'll be Notre Dame's possession. Loyola was involved in our first game against Towson State, and of course Towson State winning that one. This is Notre Dame and Johns Hopkins. Notre Dame with a chance now to get some of possession.
Last year when Notre Dame beat Duke in this outer bracket game, Duke was really looking head towards Maryland, and Notre Dame, I don't think, had gathered their respect. This year, it's a different scenario. Hopkins is very fearful of this Notre Dame team and has a tremendous amount of respect for them. So Coach Corrigan's team snuck up last year on Duke from the ACC, but I don't think that'll happen again this year.
That's a downside of winning your first playoff game, your first championship game. Suddenly you can no longer be in obscurity, and everyone is focusing on your success. Johns Hopkins successful to elude the Notre Dame challenge. Will DeRiso once again was trying to create something behind the cage and made a nice move to the crease, but the Johns Hopkins defense was there. But not sorted out at midfield. Now Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish once again. DeRiso on the ball. Now the Fighting Irish will bring it. James Keenan, who we talked about in the open, the playmaker. Shot taken, a save by Marcus as Burke Hayes getting a shot off. Fighting Irish maintain the pressure. Loose ball in the slot. It's cleared away. And now the Fighting Irish will try to maintain. Tony Reed for Notre Dame. Reed using some of his speed. Now Reed quickly on the attack. And Reed getting called as he collides with Jay Penn.
Reed dumped Jay Penn right there. Had he kept his elbow tight to his body, they would not have called that award. He'd lift his elbow. Take a look at it right here. Just lifting his elbow and stiff-arming Penn, just running right through him. That's quite a play right there.
Lou Holtz wishes he had him on the Notre Dame football team with a play like that. Johns Hopkins, though, now once again with the possession. Tim Colbert for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. They have had the better part of the play, and they have the one goal with 6:11 left here in the first quarter. Johns Hopkins trying to reload. Andrew Godfrey. Look at the shot situation. Hopkins in command. But again, it shows for all the possession, it's not like they've been ringing shots off. Very patient, very selective. Milford Marchant. Marchant now with the ball. Johns Hopkins trying to form the attack. Marchant again this time. Takes the shot. A high one. Alex Cade is able to handle it. And that was in close, and that had some spice on it.
Nice job by Cade right there. Tendency on those kind of shots is to kind of drop down low as a goaltender, but he held his ground. Not the tallest goalie. He's about 5'7", but very quick.
Will DeRiso for Notre Dame. And Brian Erickson for the Fighting Irish. They patiently work around. Notre Dame. Erickson again. Surveys, works it behind the cage. This is Joe Bialis. His brother, the defenseman for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, has been on Dave Maher for Johns Hopkins. Shot taken. Marcus again getting down for the save as Brian Erickson was trying to get one through. And again, I think with Notre Dame, they're not really that good with the outside shots, but that was a shot taken from outside.
No, and Marcus is playing very well right now. Against Loyola last week, he was just sensational in the fourth quarter. He made some saves that were just fabulous, magician-like saves. And you can tell he's really seeing the ball well.
Talking to the Notre Dame coach yesterday, Kevin Corrigan, he was saying they're the type of team that if they're going to score, it's going to be about 8 yards out. They're not the type of team that's going to score from 18 yards out. 1-0 the lead for Johns Hopkins with 4:06 left here in the first quarter of play. Andrew Godfrey on the ball for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. If you watch the first game of our doubleheader, the pace is dramatically different. Much slower. Milford Marchant sticks in his face, takes the shot. Wide left, the Johns Hopkins player back there, Dave Maher, so it will be possession for the Blue Jays.
Notre Dame very aggressive defensively. They will slide to help each other out, forcing you to make that extra pass.
Todd Bialis again on Dave Maher. Those two going at it. Bialis this time wins that. Again, we mentioned Joe Bialis at the other end in the attack area. That is the brother of Todd Bialis. The Fighting Irish try to force it upfield, and they've got something going here in transition. Working in the middle on the pass from the big stick. Johns Hopkins scrambling. A lot of pressure being applied to Chris Dussault, the freshman, getting welcome to the Johns Hopkins defensive style.
Fine recovery by the Hopkins defense. Notre Dame had a 4-on-3 break. Hopkins hustled to the center of the field and cut it off.
Ryan Gilfillan with the ball now for the Fighting Irish. Cutting play, it's a goal. It's in the net, a goal for Notre Dame. James Keenan christens the net for the Fighting Irish. Made a nice cut. Ryan Gilfillan saw him. And we have a tie game, 1-1 with 3 minutes left in the first quarter.
Watch the feed from behind. You'll see Keenan cut right-handed right there. Overplayed. Evans overplayed Keenan. Keenan pulled the string on him and beat Marcus with the bounce shot. You see Notre Dame, we've seen them shoot low at Marcus's feet. The reason this shot's successful is watch it bounce in front of the crease and then kick up into the upper section of the cage. Keenan, 15 goals on the season. Nice assist right there. A little give-and-go action.
Werner Krueger again on the face-off against Greg Glende for Notre Dame. Johns Hopkins, big stick. Ryan Kuzma trying to get it forward. Now Hopkins put it back to the goaltender Marcus. And he right away is applying pressure from Brian Gilfillan. Gilfillan on him. Marcus desperately just trying to clear it. And just puts the ball at midfield, hopeful that it will get onto a Hopkins stick, but instead it's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. James Keenan, who just scored the goal, and he puts Notre Dame back on the attack with 2.5 minutes left in the first quarter. 1-1 score here. Get Notre Dame in the dark jerseys, Johns Hopkins in the white. NCAA first round lacrosse championship action from Annapolis, Maryland. James Keenan. Sue Kelly working on him. Nice feed, nice goal. It's in the net. Chris Dussault. Chris Dussault makes a nice cut, and he only has a second to make that cut.
What a great handle there for him to catch that feed. That feed wasn't particularly right on his stick, but he reached up and caught this ball with a lot of pressure on him. Watch the Hopkins defense stick. Right there trailing him, he makes the catch and finishes in traffic. The freshman working well with Keenan from behind the cage. So we've seen Keenan with a goal and now an assist. Dussault, 28 goals on the season as a freshman. He's really the quintessential crease attackman. He knows his role. He's there to score goals.
He did there. Chris Dussault is 28th goal of the season now. 2-1 the score. And after the faceoff, the call goes against Notre Dame, so it'll be possession for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. And the Blue Jays, Werner Krueger, coming upfield, puts the ball right in front, and it's a goal. It's in the net. A goal, Adam Bond. He was in position, and he was able to finish for Johns Hopkins as Werner Krueger, the faceoff man for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays, decided he was going to turn himself into a playmaker like Dave Maher.
And you can see the impact that Werner Krueger has when he is in uniform and healthy. Wins the faceoff, comes straight down. Watch Notre Dame. They will slide once off of Bond. They don't get the second slide. Right there, you need that second slide to come across. It was too late. Bond with a little jump shot, bouncing the ball between Cade's legs. Kind of froze Cade because he turned around with his stick high, and then you'll see him put the shot low. It's very difficult to make that save. Bond high to low right there. Cade didn't get down on it.
Johns Hopkins winning the faceoff as Werner Krueger. And missed some time with a broken finger, missed 4 games. And Johns Hopkins, of course, the face-off so much of a key to the game of lacrosse. They desperately missed him in the lineup. Matt O'Kelly for the Blue Jays, so 2-2. Matt O'Kelly for the Blue Jays, searching for the answer. Back to Dave Maher. He indeed the playmaker for Johns Hopkins. Maher looking for some space. The big stick, Dave Cashin on him. And once again, nice work on the part of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish defense. Greg Glenday. Glenday finding some space on that right wing. Will DeRiso shouting out instructions. The substitutions are made. Brian Erickson for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Notre Dame wants to utilize this matchup. They've got Denahan for Hopkins now, caught on the defensive end of the field as an attackman. Look for them to isolate against him.
There it is right there. Erickson, Denahan, and right away some help, though, for Denahan. Will DeRiso. Now Johns Hopkins trying to dig it out. Todd Carney doing the digging, and Hopkins now trying to get something going in transition, but Notre Dame very alert at midfield. JT Tremonte. Now Will DeRiso. Attackman. Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Nice dodge, nice shot. Deflected by Marcus as Brian Erickson is looking for a goal. 25 seconds left. Notre Dame with the possession. We have a 2-2 score here in the first quarter of play.
Real deceptive change of speed there by Erickson. O'Kelly lunged at him, and he gave him a little fake and accelerated right to the cage.
Will DeRiso behind the cage, just to the right of the cage now. Looking to find a seam. Cosmo on him. Time running out, 8 seconds. Fighting Irish in the waning seconds. Forced to take a shot. Marcus makes the save. Doesn't see it momentarily. Time runs out. Brian Gilfillan was trying to end the first quarter with a goal, but John Marcus able to make a save for the Blue Jays. So 15 minutes of championship lacrosse in the books here in Annapolis, Maryland. We have a 2-2 game between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays.
Like this season's about 3 years old right now. It's been a very difficult season, but I think probably our season fits in with the way that college lacrosse has been going this year, which is everybody is playing everybody tough. There are a lot of great games amongst all the top 20 teams. Have all played very competitive games, and that's been true for us as well.
Competitive indeed. That's been the story of lacrosse in 1996. Dave Johnson, Quinn Kesnick, back in Annapolis, Maryland. Head coach Kevin Corrigan.
Corrigan's done a fantastic job building Notre Dame up. Not only are they the power from the West now, but they're a real power in lacrosse. And in the past, they were awarded the 12th seed as the West Coast representative in this tournament. This year, they're a legitimate top 10 quality ball club.
Take a look at the Bryan first quarter stats, the numbers that make up this contest, and we can see things pretty even.
Yeah, very even, except for face-offs. Hopkins controlled 4 for and only 1 for Notre Dame, and that may tell a sign later on. You don't want to get caught playing a lot of defense in this ball game because you can get tired, and later on in the game, that'll pay off.
Werner Krueger handling those face-offs for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays, and he has been very successful to this point. And now we have the first flag of the afternoon.
It's going to be a slashing violation against Krueger after the face-off, just swinging his stick violently right in front of the official.
Just as we mentioned, that face-off stat.
Right there, that's just a little too excessive and blatant, especially when the official is right there. A lot of times that kind of check when it hits the arm pads will make a loud noise also. Didn't help him either that he was right in front of the Notre Dame bench. I'm sure the coaches and players were screaming crazy that that's a slash. So the referee's got to make that call.
Coaches may not have whistles, but they're right there on the call typically. So Notre Dame, this is an extra man situation for the Fighting Irish for the next 1 minute. And the Fighting Irish readily go to work. Game tied at 2. Notre Dame in the blue jerseys. Tony Reed on the ball. And a quick ball movement. Will DeRiso trying to sneak from behind the cage. Reed takes the low shot. It's in the net. It's in the net. A goal for Tony Reed. And the quick ball movement, it seemed Quinn really set that up because it gets the defense on their heels.
Phenomenal ball movement. Hopkins just rotating their defense. Notre Dame zipping the ball around like it was going out of style. Ended up in Reed's stick from about 12 yards. You'll see it right here. Keenan from behind the cage to DeRiso. Skip pass in the middle to Reed. And watch Marcus. A little screen there. You'll see him try to look around the screen to his right. Shot came to his left. Reed really tucking the shot around the defensive player. Watch it again right there. Worm burner beating Marcus Lowe.
The technical term, of course, the worm burner. Johns Hopkins in the white jerseys. Notre Dame in the blue, and now Notre Dame not feeling blue. They have a 3-2 lead. Possession for Johns Hopkins after the faceoff. Werner Krueger now. And now Krueger, who is in for the 1-minute penalty, feels the same pressure from James Keenan. Keenan checks it away, but Krueger maintains. Krueger with an assist in this game as he leaves it down for Andrew Godfrey. Godfrey for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Trying to work on Joe Bialis. 3-2 Notre Dame in the lead. Just underway second quarter play. 13:52 left here in the first half. Dave Maher, the electrifying All-American for Johns Hopkins. Once again, Todd Bialis is on him. And that pressure that Bialis is putting on Maher is paying dividends, as Notre Dame able to create the turnover.
Yeah, the key to that pressure is he's got Maher playing on the end line, which makes the feed in front of the cage a lot easier to recover as a defensive player. So Bialis is really extending his defense and forcing Maher really out of the play. He's got to get tighter to the cage.
James Keenan with some nice moves to elude a lot of pressure. Now Tony Reed for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. He just scored the goal. Reed wants more. Will take the shot. Marcus has it in his stick. Now quick in transition. The Johns Hopkins Blue Jays quickly working it upfield. Surveying the options. Notre Dame did a nice job to get back. Now we have a whistle, an injured player at the other end, and it is Tony Reed who took the punishment after he took the shot.
I think he got a knee after the shot. He's in a lot of pain right there. After the shot, a Hopkins player came and slid on him. We hope he's okay.
Tony Reed getting his gloves and helmet off, and that, not seeing him move too much, and that's certainly not a very good sign for Tony Reed, who just scored the goal, and now getting some help from the fine training staff for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. 3-2 our score. Notre Dame with the lead. And again, you do pay a price after you take a shot, typically. Johns Hopkins was trying to get out on the break. John Gagliardi was getting upfield for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays.
Yeah, typically that slide will get there as the player shoots. And it's a question of, the timing of it. It's almost like sacking the quarterback in football. You know he's going to release the ball. Well, do you hit him or do you pull back? In that case, the Hopkins player hit Reed. And the problem offensively there is you're taking that shot, and a lot of times you're watching your own shot to see if it goes in, and you kind of take your eye off the sliding defender. So it can be a dangerous play. Referees have done a good job recently clamping down on that type of play, especially if it's a high hit. A lot of times players will like to come in up around the throat or head area.
Well, we certainly hope for the best for Tony Reed as he'll now receive attention, but clearly it was indicative from the start. It was not just as if he was hit hard, and it may be something of more severe nature, but we certainly will keep you updated on that. Tony Reed going off, getting a goal in this championship game, but a very talented member of the Notre Dame midfield.
If he's unable to play, this really will hurt Notre Dame because they don't have much offensive depth. Reed has got 18 goals on the season, and certainly he's one of their best penetrators from up top. So this is really going to hurt their chances in this ballgame.
3-2 is the score. Notre Dame Fighting Irish with the lead. 12:54 left in the first half of play, and Tony Reed has been taken care of and taken to the bench, and it will be Johns Hopkins' possession. Andrew Godfrey will resume the possession for the Blue Jays. Johns Hopkins documented a very competitive year for the Blue Jays. Talking with Tony Seaman, though, yesterday, very confident about the way the team's playing now. Milford Marchand with a nice dive, nice shot, it's in the net. Milford Marchand making the move and then finishing and tying the game at 3.
Sensational speed by Marchand. Played his high school ball at the Severn School, which is right down the road here in Annapolis. Here it is. Denahan over to Marchand. Marchand just blows right by Keenan right there, clears his stick, and Cade actually got a piece of that with his leg. I think it bounced off his leg into the cage. You'll get a great angle right here. Marchand dodging a left-handed, switches back to his right hand. Doesn't shoot that ball 100 miles an hour, but it's on target. You can see that was a real relaxed motion.
3-3 the score, so this remains a tight battle with 12:29 left. First half of play. Werner Krueger on the faceoff again for Johns Hopkins. He's handled all their faceoffs. Greg Glenday has handled all the faceoffs for Notre Dame. And it looked like Glenday was going to win one. But instead, he gets called for the foul, so Hopkins won possession.
Little pushing foul there. Shoved Krueger out of the way to scoop up the ball.
It'll help you win that faceoff. There's a little shove there.
That's part of facing off. The only problem is, you got to make it look good.
Matt O'Kelly will try to make it look good now for Johns Hopkins. They go back on the attack. The scoring pace has actually picked up in this game, so to speak. Both teams scoring just the first 3 minutes of this second quarter. But again, we expect the same type of situation. Both teams being very patient. And so far, that is playing out. The script we anticipated at the start of this game is Matt O'Kelly. They work it quickly around. Shot was taken. The battle to the end line. It'll be Johns Hopkins' possession.
Maher out racing Cade to the end line. And the little plays like that in this ball game will be big plays. A, it's a playoff game, and B, these two teams are evenly matched. So any little subtle play along the line could be a determining factor in the outcome. More so than that previous game we watched with Towson Loyola. There were a lot of opportunities. You're not going to get that many quality opportunity in this game.
Dave Maher adjusting his gear, makes the adjustment, makes the pass, and Matt O'Kelly makes the shot. So all that gear adjustment worked for Dave Maher as he found Matt O'Kelly. And we have a 4-3 lead now for Johns Hopkins with 11:33 left in the first half.
A typical Hopkins goal. Maher operating behind the cage, and they'll set a massive pick right there for O'Kelly, right-handed, the freshman out of Manhasset High School, one of the highest recruited players last season. Here's Maher inside to O'Kelly, and that's what they call their spaghetti offense, where there's a lot of players in the center of the field, and just a big mass of players. There's no strategy inside except they pick for each other and work with each other, and O'Kelly handles in traffic, and again, Cade got a piece of that one.
Greg Glenday getting a piece of the face-off for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and the Fighting Irish now try to get back on the attack as they now trail 4-3 in this game. Ryan Gilfillan from behind the cage. He'll start the work for the Fighting Irish.
I think we're going to have an illegal procedure call along the box side. When the players are substituting out of the game, the player the player entering the game has the right of way. So when you're coming off the field, you can't bump him. And the Notre Dame player, it appears as if he bumped the Hopkins player in the box. It's going to be a technical foul.
Tony Seaman looks on, the Johns Hopkins coach, for the explanation. Kevin Corrigan of Notre Dame.
Actually, it's going to be against Hopkins. It'll be the player leaving the field has the right of way. I got that mixed up. The player leaving the field has the right of way. The player in the box must make space for him.
Well, we have a chance to sort it all out because a timeout has been called. 11-12 left here in the first half of play. Johns Hopkins with the 4-3 lead. Johnson, Quinn Kesselnick back in Annapolis, Maryland. NCAA Lacrosse Championship first round action between the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Hopkins with the lead.
Billy Evans drew first blood in this game. It's been a low-scoring game, as we predicted, as we really thought.
So we had a halftime report. Of course, what's a halftime report without the all-important highlights?
Here's the first goal of the game by Billy Evans. There was a loose ball, top of the box, about 20 yards away from the cage. Evans scooped it up. No slide here defensively by Notre Dame. In the middle of the field, just opens up. He takes it in and beats Cade with a low bounce shot. Hopkins went up 1-0. Notre Dame countered right back. This is Keenan taking the feed from behind. Nice bounce shot, beating Marcus. Marcus has been very solid in the goal for Hopkins. And then we can see Keenan's versatility. He scored that goal, and then he'll assist on this next goal, dodging from behind as a midfielder. Spots DeRiso, the freshman, in front. Notre Dame was up 2-1. And then Bond for Hopkins scores right off the faceoff. This is Werner Krueger, wins the faceoff. Watch the slide defensively right here. Notre Dame, too much pressure on Krueger, leaving Bond all open in front. And he beats Cade with the low bounce shot. 2-2 at that point. It's 5-4 right now.
Johns Hopkins with the lead as we continue with our Toyota halftime report from Annapolis, Maryland. NCAA first round action in the 1996 Lacrosse Championship. Of Maryland, Annapolis is where we are for NCAA 1996 Lacrosse Championship first round action. The Johns Hopkins Blue Jays with a 5-4 lead on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame as we take a look at our Brine halftime stats. And if you think the score is fairly even, what do you take a look at the stats?
This is pretty funny, actually. I mean, this is as even as you get. 16 shots to 15, 8-7 in saves. 19-19 in ground balls. Really the only difference is the face-offs, and that's given Hopkins a few more offensive possessions. Notre Dame having problems clearing the ball also is very notable out of the first half.
So going to the penalty situation, Notre Dame also getting a penalty at the close of the first half, so Johns Hopkins will have the extra advantage of starting the second half with the offensive possession, and they of course have the lead at 5-4. But it's a much different game than the first game we saw this afternoon. In case you're just joining us, it was Towson State winning game one of our doubleheaders 16-11 to advance to the quarterfinals against Princeton. But here, the mission is to advance to the quarterfinals against Maryland next Sunday at the Johns Hopkins. There you see the final of our first game, 16-11. Our score here, 5-4. Johns Hopkins with the lead on Notre Dame.
Are your tomatoes perfectly sliced in seconds? Fresh onions without the tears? Mounds of French fries from just one potato? You'll see how on this edition of Ask Mike.
What you need is the Super Slicer. It can do all this without any complicated attachments. The fine...
Dave Johnson, Quinn Kesselnick back in Annapolis, Maryland. And 5-4 is our score. Hopkins with the lead on Notre Dame. We're talking about an even game, so the Fighting Irish by no means not out of it. But a severe blow. Looks like Anthony Reed will not return to the midfield, so they'll have to compensate for his loss.
Yeah, that's going to be tough because he adds a certain explosiveness and speed to their midfield, and he's a threat to score from the outside. Hopkins playing that zone defense, and Notre Dame really doesn't have any outside shooters to counteract that.
Especially even though it's only a one-goal lead, you expect more zone defense in the second half?
Yes, it was successful in the first half. I think they'll continue to rotate their three defenses, you know, why change it if it's not broken? Certainly holding Notre Dame to 4 goals in the first half is very good.
All right, 5-4 the score. We're coming up with this second half of play from Annapolis, Maryland. Stay with us. Maryland, the the predetermined site for this NCAA 1996 first-round lacrosse championship action between the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The Fighting Irish trailing 5-4, and they also are man down to start the second half of play. Chris Dussault getting called for a 1-minute penalty, so advantage to Johns Hopkins. And we talked about Tony Reed not being back in the second half of play. Indeed, he has a knee brace on, so the injury that we feared that appeared rather severe, at least we'll keep him out for the remainder of the game. We hope that his condition, we'll try to get an update on that, but Tony Reed, definitely a knee brace, will not be back. Johns Hopkins in the white jerseys with the extra man. Notre Dame in the dark jerseys. They work it around. Ed Zucchelli takes the shot. It sails, but Johns Hopkins will maintain the possession.
Zucchelli, really an extra man specialist. Left-handed shot. He's hot lately. Had a good game against Towson State and an excellent game against Loyola last week. He likes to operate about 10 yards off to the left of the cage.
Zucchelli. Now Dave Maher. They work it back to Dan Denahan. Quick feed into the middle. Milford Marshot takes the shot. Once again, Hopkins with another chance.
Ball does not stay in Dave Maher's stick very long when he's behind the cage. He caught that and got rid of it so quick. Watch that feed right here. Blocked by the outer defense.
Evans with the feed and Marshot. The shot, and Cade makes the save, but Hopkins recovers. Maher again, you see the quick feed. Again, Cade forced to make the save, this time on Evans. So Alex Cade responding to the challenge. That's Hopkins in a hurry. Milford Marshot. Marshot again, and this time again denied by Cade. 13:55 left. Teams back now, even strength. So Johns Hopkins maintains the possession. You know, Notre Dame was able, of course, to not allow them to score a man down. Milford Marshot. Marshot attracts some tension behind the cage by Andy Scullin. Scullin offers him a couple of checks. But a critical stage there, I think, to start the second half for Notre Dame.
Yeah, confidence-wise as a goalie, you always want to make the first save of the game and then the first save of the third quarter. And Cade made 3 in a row.
Three very difficult saves. Adam Bond now trying to go to work for Johns Hopkins with 13 minutes left. Bond working behind the cage. Joe Bialis offering some pressure. Now Dave Maher. This is where things always get exciting once the ball is in his stick. He eludes the challenge, takes the shot, just goes wide. Hopkins maintains the pressure. Evans with it, but Cade, talk about 3 big saves, make it 4. And now the transition. Notre Dame quickly try to start things with Brian Gilfillan. Will DeRiso, but Alex Cade, we can count 4 huge saves here to start the second half.
He weathered the storm right there. Evans from 10 yards with time and room. Cade got some good bend in his knees, got his stick down to the turf and made the save, and then controlled his rebound and threw a beautiful outlet pass. Notre Dame's going to need a couple transition goals.
Will DeRiso now for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Feed in front, but Erickson elects not to take the shot. Now back to Bert Hayes. 12 minutes left, third quarter. We just get the second half underway from Annapolis, Maryland. Erickson takes it to the goal. It's in. It's in the net. It's in the net. A goal for Notre Dame, and it's a tie game.
Nice recognition by the Notre Dame offense. They kept the Hopkins offensive midfielders on the field, and Erickson took Milford Marchant to the cage. Marchant extremely fast, but he's not known for his defense. Watch this right here. They clear out, so there's no slide. Here's Erickson. Takes a look at the cage. Accelerates right there. Bears in towards the goal, and Marcus dropped his stick just a little. Big goal, ties it up to 5.
And that camera shot is a good appreciation. You'll see, again, of the speed at which those shots are coming in. And again, Brian Erickson. Shots even look fast in slow motion. On the face-off, the scrappy Werner Krueger and Greg Glenday, those two have gone at it, to my knowledge, every face-off this afternoon. Stick check out of Adam Bond's stick as he tries to get things going for Johns Hopkins. And now the Fighting Irish trying to get in transition, the ball loose. maintaining his control of Chris Dussault after he was tripped up trying to collect that loose ball. And now finally, well, still under pressure, Johns Hopkins. Now the bodies collide, and we have effectively a scrum on the far side. Gagliardi trying to scoop it forward for Johns Hopkins. Been so effective as a big stick. Stick coming around his face, no call. Now Gagliardi to Krueger. Werner Krueger, it's in the net. A goal for Johns Hopkins. And Krueger able to finish after Johns Hopkins worked so hard to corral the ball.
That flurry lasted about 20 seconds. Ball kicked out to Gagliardi. We talked about his offensive nature, and he led the break right there. Krueger got underneath the player. This is Gagliardi at about the midfield line. He's got great stick skills. Look at him, and he finds Krueger on the near side, tucked in behind the Notre Dame defense. And Krueger, with not much of an angle, really tuck this one in the corner. You'll have a great angle right here on the goal. Here's Krueger. Watch the shot right in the lower corner, between the legs of Cade.
Werner Krueger and from John Gagliardi. And you mentioned Gagliardi, a flamboyant defenseman, and we perhaps on his flamboyant side. There's Johns Hopkins wins the faceoff. They have a 6-5 lead. And the Blue Jays now. 18 Bailey. Immediately under pressure. Looks like Notre Dame is stepping up the defensive pressure in the second half. Dan Dennehan eludes some of that pressure. Now Dave Maher. Silky move. He wants a whistle from behind. Instead, it's on Dave Maher.
Bob Schwab with the call right there. Maher tried to sell the referee on the hold call. So what he did was he clamped down on the defenseman's stick and fell down to the ground, making it look like he was hooked.
Ball was almost put in Notre Dame's own goal. A tense moment at the back, but the Fighting Irish not concerned anymore about past history. They're back on offense. J.T. Tremonti. Now Notre Dame. Down by one. DeRiso. Looking to drive. Kuzma's on him. The feed made, the shot taken by Brian Erickson. Taken on front roll now the midfield for Notre Dame. It's the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays that bring it forward. Dan Dennehan again for the Hopkins Blue Jays. Dennehan, stick checked away. Erickson to Burke Hayes. And now Notre Dame trying to create something in transition. With 9:39 left here, third quarter. DeRiso. Back to Erickson. Again, he wants to take it to goal. This time Marcus makes a big-time save. The ball's still loose, but Hopkins able to corral it.
That was stovetop stuffing, a serious stuff right there. Marcus lunging up against Erickson. Again, no slide defensively. Erickson walked into 3 yards. Marcus, such a huge save. The senior coming up big.
Wilfred Marchand. Now for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Marchand settles and surveys. And now we'll leave it instead for Billy Evans. He's coming into the contest. 6-5, Johns Hopkins with the lead. Now to Dave Maher. Todd Bialis still on him. That's a 1v1 matchup this afternoon. Maher trying to elude him, that big stick. Interception by Burke Hayes of Notre Dame, and now the Fighting Irish. In time again, Marcus, as Chris Dussault could not finish.
Dussault had him. He had the stick down low, but then Marcus jumped up into the air. Ball deflecting off of his helmet. This is a huge save. We thought the other one was good. Watch this. You'll see his stick down around his waist. He doesn't get his hands to the ball, but he gets a good body movement up. This is Dussault right there, right off the helmet.
As long as he knows what zip code he's in, he's okay for the rest of the game. That did rattle off his helmet. The shot by Chris Dussault, and again, 2 point-blank shots now. Johns Hopkins has been able to turn away. DeRiso feeds Sales. Now the battle at midfield. A little kick forward. And a Notre Dame player at midfield, but now scramble for loose ball. DeRiso, he's having trouble with it. Jay Penn swinging the stick. Now they have to be conscious to get it back in the attack zone within 10 seconds.
Good call, Dave.
Yeah, they did not.
You're all over that?
Well, I was ready to blow the whistle, but I forgot I'm up here. But, Notre Dame was under pressure to get it back into play, get it back into the attack zone. They have to advance it past that yellow line within 10 seconds. And they did not, so Johns Hopkins on the turnover. The Blue Jays, to Colbert. Streaking forward and loses a couple of challenges and makes the goal. And Alex Cade is furious. 7-5 the score. Tim Colbert hope he's okay after the goal.
Timmy Colbert is really one of the most well-liked players on the Hopkins team. You can see by the way it picked up the whole team, that goal right there. He's a kid, has seen reserve duty throughout his career. He's what's called the designated clear. He comes in for clearing situations. He was an excellent high school running back, and you can see the speed and skill that Colbert has right there. He's one of the fastest players on the Hopkins team, and look at him. He's one happy guy. Watch the move. Over the top for the right-handed shot. And then the celebration with the socks up.
He wanted to spike something, I think, but it's not a good idea to throw the stick down. So the celebrations continue on the sideline. In the meantime, no time for celebration. A flag has been thrown. So Werner Krueger is getting a 1-minute penalty for slashing. So with 7:24 left here in the third quarter, Hopkins with a 7-5 lead. Werner Krueger goes off for 1 minute, and now Notre Dame has an extra man. Look at Werner Krueger. Very scrappy on those faceoffs.
Yeah, he's a tough kid. He's built like a fire hydrant. He's about 5'7", and he's almost 5'7" wide, but he's all muscle.
Well, that certainly helps. Some of the wrestling situations sometimes in those faceoffs. You need that center of gravity. Will DeRiso, Notre Dame. Not worried about gravity, just goals. Brian Erickson. Good ball moving up on Notre Dame. Marcus again denying in the defense. Now Johns Hopkins under the pressure to clear. This is Gagliardi. And does well. Well, to get the pass off, just sails a little bit too much. He was under pressure and was trying to just quickly get it out of the zone.
Marcus again with a one-on-one save. Played his angle well there. Kind of came out of the cage to cut down the angle. I think he took that one right in the chest. 11 saves today. But they've been quality saves because Notre Dame, they do not take the outside shot. Most of those saves have been from 5 or 10 yards.
Brian Erickson again for Notre Dame. Mahoney now for the Fighting Irish. Still the extra man situation with 6:41 left. Will DeRiso. Mahoney. James Keenan. Now working in close. That'll be Johns Hopkins' possession. And the team is back at even strength.
Notre Dame misses Reed on that extra man unit.
Tony Reed, who went out with apparently a knee injury in the first half of play. I'll look at Tony Reed with a knee brace. 7-5 remains our score. Johns Hopkins with the lead with 6:20 left here in the third quarter of play. Gagliardi. Forward to Evans for Johns Hopkins. Billy Evans. James Keenan is on him for Notre Dame. Milford Marchant from the wing. Marchant now trying to make some moves on Burke Hayes of Notre Dame. Cashin picks him up with the big stick. Dave Cashin. Adam Bond now for Johns Hopkins. Critical stage, you're down by 2 goals for Notre Dame because this is not a game that we've noticed any offensive spurts. It's good to, important, I should say, to answer back with the goals. And now Notre Dame, Todd Rassis, the big stick, brought it up for the Fighting Irish. Now the Fighting Irish have a chance to set up on offense. Will DeRiso. Just into the game, JT Tremonte. Tremonte now spinning. Gilfillan to Will DeRiso. DeRiso trying to get some kind of advantage. They work it out front. The shot taken by Dussault, but this one wide left.
Dussault so dangerous inside. That's the shot they want. He's got to put that on the 6x6. At least make Marcus make the save. You can see Marcus's early spectacular saves have the shooters now shooting for corners.
Andrew Godfrey receives the ball from John Gagliardi. Looks like he's going to take the shot. Godfrey momentarily had some space to make a cut to the front of the crease, but he was denied. Now Maher getting back to Godfrey. He's trying to come around, trying to shovel it in. But Bialis, he's checked by Dave Maher as he's trying to scoop it up. And Johns Hopkins knows the Maher shot. Opportunistic to get the loose ball. Maher and Bialis again. Maher to the ground. Feed in traffic. Evans, the crisp shot. And Cade, the answer with the save. And now Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. Ryan Erickson. Met by Evans. Now Notre Dame battling. Now we have a whistle.
Loose ball push against Robbie Dorr.
So it'll be a possession for Notre Dame. An error. Now the part of Notre Dame is Mike Maroney was trying to put it behind the cage. And it'll be Johns Hopkins.
That'll hurt you in a playoff game. You're down by 2 goals. Hopkins is playing a nice defensive game. You've got to cut back on your unforced errors.
3:31 left here in the third quarter from Annapolis, Maryland. Johns Hopkins and Notre Dame, both teams trying to advance to the quarterfinals. Last year, Notre Dame successful in the first round, defeating ACC champion Duke. JT Tremonte now. For the correction to Colbert for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Makes them feed, and the shot by Adam Bond. That went off the post. We have a whistle, but Bond's shot was there, but not for the post.
Colbert made a fine look. He scored the last Hopkins goal, and he found Bond all open in front. He had Cade beat and rattled the iron.
Pushing foul on Notre Dame. The possession now for Johns Hopkins. Matt O'Kelly for the Blue Jays with 2:45 left here in the third quarter of play. And Dennehan. Warded to the outside. Now Maher to O'Kelly. Bialis right on him. Joe Bialis battling for Notre Dame. So good effort on his part. But Notre Dame now has to clear. So the Fighting Irish. JT Tremonte with some moves. Now James Keenan start things for Notre Dame. 2:13 left. Keenan surveying for someone to feed it to. Ryan Gilfillan. Gilfillan now trying to come around. The other side. Burke Hayes. Having some trouble with it, Will DeRiso. DeRiso, though, trying to take it to goal, trying to go far post. And that one sails. Notre Dame will maintain the possession with a minute 41 left.
Not a bad shot, not a bad shot. Didn't have much angle, but he shot it for the far post. That way it was either going to go in or go out of bounds, and they had the backup. So that's a real smart play by DeRiso.
7-5, Johns Hopkins in the white jerseys with the lead on Notre Dame. A lot of time left, but the way this game has gone, you really sense Notre Dame needs to get the next goal. And again, Gagliardi right in there on Burke Hayes. Ryan Erickson now for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Ryan Gilfillan. DeRiso. DeRiso now. Penn was in his face momentarily. Now very important battle. At midfield, Burke Hayes able to come over the loose ball. Minute 9 left. And a timeout called by Notre Dame. So good time out for Notre Dame, an important stretch here, and Kevin Corrigan obviously wants to talk things over. If you're Kevin Corrigan, Quint, we'll find your thoughts on that when we come back. 7-5, Johns Hopkins holding on to the 2-goal advantage.
Some offenses, and Marcus has been exceptional here in the second half.
Well, 2 point-blank saves that readily come to mind, among others he's made. Jonathan Marcus, the goalie for Johns Hopkins. James Keenan for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Again, the Fighting Irish in the blue, Johns Hopkins in the white. This is Maher from behind the cage as Notre Dame searches for those offensive answers. Gagliardi was on him, but it seems like Gagliardi's on everyone. James Keenan makes a turn, created some space. DeRiso now turning to the side, and he does. DeRiso puts it in the net, and a big goal with 45 seconds left in the third quarter to make it 7-6.
Nice job by Keenan, finding DeRiso on the backside. Hopkins with a lot of defensive pressure right there. Notre Dame showed the stick skills. They showed some poise right there. Got the ball up to their best player, Keenan, and he found DeRiso. Here he is, Keenan under a lot of pressure, but his strength is that he sees the field. Look at his head is always up, and he finds his teammate parked on the backside, and DeRiso beats Marcus. Keenan with 3 assists today. If you're a young player watching Keenan play, note his head position. He always sees the entire field.
Werner Krueger again leading the scramble for the ball. And once again, we have a whistle. There's a push on the face-off, and it will go. Look at DeRiso, the goal scorer, to Johns Hopkins with 40 seconds left. 7-6, the score. And here comes Werner Krueger trying to create an offensive opportunity. Krueger to Dave Maher. Went through Evans. He could not control it, and now in transition, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Mahoney works it in tight to DeRiso. His shot is saved. And with 17 seconds left, John Marcus once again. So Chris DeRiso is having trouble finding a way through John Marcus. Milford Marchand now. The same way, Alex Cade, though, answers. And suddenly it's run and gun with 2 seconds left. They're going to really have to gun it. And James Keenan offers a hopeful ball. So if we go to the fourth quarter, John Marcus keeping Hopkins with the lead at 7-6. On to a 7-6 lead. We said at the top of the broadcast, Quentin Kesnick, that goaltending and defense would be the story, and it's turned out that way.
Oh, in a tight game like this, that's going to be the case. This is DeRiso down low. Marcus just getting a piece of that off his left hip. Another 1 inch over with that shot, and it's a goal. Marcus playing the angle well. Hopkins on the counterattack. Milford Marchand looking to take it for himself. And watch Alex Cade, the goalie, reads that. That's an easy save right there as time was running out in the third quarter.
Well, the only easy saves is you make them. 7-6. Johns Hopkins with the lead. Johns Hopkins in the white jerseys. Notre Dame in the dark jerseys. And Johns Hopkins been very successful on the face-offs today, and right away they will start the attack for the Blue Jays. So, as we expected, a tight, close game, low scoring, and that's what we've got. Billy Evans. Dan Danahan now. And Marchand for Sullivan. Marchand surveys. Joe Bialis is on him. Now looking to create some space. Marchand will take the shot. It's behind Cade, but he's able to cover. Alex Cade was able to cover, and now Notre Dame in transition. Brian Erickson, the feed to rather DeRiso, and a run off the crossbar. DeRiso didn't get a shot. It just seemed to go off his stick and off the crossbar. Notre Dame could have tied it up, and now the Fighting Irish have to hurry to get it across the attack line. 10-second violation called as Notre Dame could not get it across the restraining line in time.
You can hear the Hopkins defensive coaching staff talking about that 10-second. Let's take a look at the third quarter stats. Shots, Hopkins with just a slight advantage. Saves, Notre Dame 2 more than Hopkins. Face-offs, that's one of the keys right now. Hopkins winning 10 Notre Dame only 5. That last play, DeRiso did not catch that ball. Actually, it was checked. His stick was checked, and it swatted the ball, and it hit the post.
There are Brian's stats. The numbers made up this game so far. 13:26 left in the fourth quarter. 7-6. And you think about the crossbars we've seen, the close saves, and once again. And you were making the point that you thought Notre Dame's got to get a goal in transition. I thought that was going to be the goal. For the Fighting Irish, instead, Johns Hopkins with Andrew Godfrey back on the attack. James Keenan is on him for Notre Dame. Then Hopkins settles in.
They can afford to do that with a 1-goal lead. Keenan's got to be tired. He's been on the field the entire game.
Wilfred Marchand now for the Blue Jays. At this point, what are they looking to do on offense as they settle things down? When do they make the move?
That's a good question. Looks like Maher wants to go here for himself, or they'll isolate against one of the short stick defenders from behind the cage.
Wilfred Marchand. Marchand had an excellent opportunity in a similar situation to just like this. And he puts it past Alex Cade, and it's almost a repeat on Marchand's last possession. That time it was saved. This time, though, Marchand is able to beat Alex Cade and makes it 8-6.
Marchand's got the hat trick, and I don't know how he snuck this by Alex Cade. Looked like Cade had the angles played right, but Marchand beat him near side. Here he is isolating against the short stick midfielder. This is the matchup that Hopkins wants. They do a good job occupying the other players, so there's no slide here. Marchand had his back to the middle of the field, but there's no slide. Switches to the right hand and beats Cade to the near side. Wilfred Marchand, here it is again. Right-handed, he'll switch back to his left, and now back to his right again. He's predominantly a right-handed player. And watch it, just on the near pipe.
Dave Casher was trying to get back and help out. On the faceoff, we had a push against Notre Dame rather than against Johns Hopkins, so it'll be Notre Dame's possession. So it's 8-6, but Quint, that was almost the exact play that Marchand worked earlier, where he was able to get around Burke Hayes. He drew the defender out and then went in. Speed of going in, DeRiso, I think, is in the crease, and he is. So a crease violation and a turnover for Johns Hopkins. So Notre Dame yielding a goal to make it 8-6, and once again it's a 2-goal cushion. So the Fighting Irish worked so hard to get it back to a 1-goal game. They've got to restart things. Now they offer some pressure on Johns Hopkins. Werner Krueger now. Krueger. From behind the cage, Cashin is on him. Dave Cashin. Now Dan Denahan for Hopkins. Denahan gets his defender down, takes the shot, it's a goal. The defender that was on Denahan slipped in the coverage, and once Denahan saw that, he knew it was time to shoot.
That is a big goal right there by Denahan, the freshman. He's had a fantastic season, 23 goals. Watch him again. He's got deceptive speed. Here he is, a little change of speed. The defenseman slips right there, and Denahan's left all alone in front of the cage, and he makes it count. Nice overhand shot, good motion, puts the ball on the cage. 3-goal cushion. Here it is again. Notre Dame defenseman
Todd
Rassis, yeah, getting his stick. Looks like he tripped. It looks like he had problems with his stick or his feet. No help defensively. That's where you got to slide. You got to see that your man's falling.
9-6 down, quickly off the faceoff. Here comes Hopkins again. Werner Krueger back to Dave Maher with 11-12 left here in the fourth quarter. Matt O'Kelly out to Adam Bond. Bond faces the pressure, sails beyond A.T. Bailey, and now battle for the ground. We're going to have a whistle. A hold, and it'll be possession to Notre Dame. So Notre Dame now down by 3 goals. James Keenan to Brian Erickson. DeRiso trying to create something. Kuzma's on him. James Keenan for the Fighting Irish. DeRiso. Gilfillan makes the feed, it sails. Kick forward by Dave Cashin alertly for Notre Dame. And Erickson, they restart the offense. Gilfillan behind the cage. Gets help from James Keenan. Keenan, of course, draws pressure, as you would expect a player of his caliber. DeRiso. Now, DeRiso. Taking the shot, DeRiso. That will be possession to Notre Dame, but we were talking when it was 7-6. You thought maybe 9 goals for either team would win the game. So Notre Dame really now has to muster up some offense. Do they now have to start gambling more?
Defensively, I think they've got to extend their defense, look for a few more turnovers. And Hopkins will be very, very patient on offense, as they have been the entire game. So that's not really deviating from their game plan.
So it'll be Johns Hopkins' possession, but now as Johns Hopkins gets that possession, we might expect Notre Dame, they might get into a situation where they've got to apply some rides and get in that type of situation where you're grading the turnovers.
Yeah, how long can you wait before you decide that we're going to have to pick up the tempo?
9:28 remain here in the fourth quarter. Says game 2 of our doubleheader. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage on this Mother's Day. Tim Colbert, who has a goal this afternoon for Johns Hopkins. And the Blue Jays, Dave Maher. Todd Bialis on him. Those two will not need to shake hands at the end of the game. I think they've probably already done it in-game. Denahan gets a step. And Rassus is able to check it away. And now Bert Hayes facing pressure from Hopkins. Alex Cade puts it forward to Will DeRiso. Now Brian Gilfillan. And now Brian Erickson. And now Notre Dame can start their attack. The feed into Chris Dussault. He's checked though right away. Prevented him from getting a quality shot off. JT Tremonte, that one didn't have the handle on it, just went wide out of his stick.
Rolled out of his stick. Kuzma for Hopkins made a real nice slide defensively to get to Dussault as he was about to catch that ball. Notre Dame did a good job drawing the slide out to the Dodger, and then they fed the ball inside, but Kuzma was there for the second slide. It's a real nice play.
Gagliardi again checking it away, and again, what a game he has had on defense as he wins possession. And now the big stick, John Gagliardi, coming forward. He is checked by JT Tremonte. He maintains possession. You have expected to shoot. He goes to feed Denahan, and it goes wide. It'll be Notre Dame's possession. But I said that earlier. As he's racing upfield, all you expect him to do is actually take a shot.
These long stick players have such control now over their sticks. He just runs over that player, and you see that more often.
Yep.
Nowadays. These long sticks, these defensemen come down the field, and they just lower their shoulder and run you over. Tremonte had no chance there. Gagliardi outweighs him by at least 30 pounds.
You see Gagliardi with a stick on his head. I think he was trying to get some rest. Had to be awful winded after that run upfield. Notre Dame now trying to run upfield. Maroney. Tremonte now. JT Tremonte for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Ryan Gilfillan. 7:37 left here in the fourth quarter. 9-6. Johns Hopkins with the lead. Maroney tried to create something. This puts it on goal, but he was checked as he took the shot and really could not get the velocity on the shot it required. Now Johns Hopkins. Rob Dorr now once again bringing it up for the Blue Jays. Evans with the shot and the goal. Billy Evans. Billy Evans makes it 10-6.
Evans scored the first goal today and scores Hopkins' 10th. He caught Cade napping here. That's a look at Alex Cade. Watch this right here. This is where you think Hopkins is going to pull the ball out maybe and slow it down. Evans just steps up and lets it go with that overhand motion. That's such a deceptive motion because when he shoots overhand, it holds you high as a goalie. And the shot yet comes low between the legs. Watch it again. We'll get a nice angle right here. Here's Evans just looking around, steps up and just lets it go. A lot of velocity right there. Big goal, 10-6, a 4-goal margin. Is pretty big in this game.
Very big in this game. We said a 2-goal margin was big in this game, and now that has been doubled. 7:08 left. Notre Dame will now continue out to try to find a way to solve the defensive puzzle of Johns Hopkins, but Hopkins again getting in on offense, and Dave Maher. Faceoff's been key this afternoon. That has hurt Notre Dame. Werner Krueger really has had a lot of control in that department.
He's a real warrior. He's got the hamstring, the hand.
Broken finger he suffered.
And the shoulder, had a shoulder problem last week.
But other than that, he's ready to go. Dave Maher for the Blue Jays. Todd remains on him. A.T. Bailey trying to create some space for Johns Hopkins. But they really do have this luxury of waiting even longer, although they've been pretty patient all game long. Maher to Denahan. He takes the shot. It's in the net. He beats Alex Cade high. 11-6 now in favor of Johns Hopkins. And things are starting to unravel a bit for Notre Dame. This has been a very close game throughout. And this score now is not representative of the way this game's been played.
Notre Dame looks to be fatiguing a little on the defensive end. Great ball movement. Maher to Denahan. Cade got a piece of that. I think the defenseman actually got a piece of Denahan's stick also. Watch Dan Denahan take the shot here and see if the defenseman gets a stick on his stick, forcing the shot. I think it was a nice motion right there. Cade got a piece. 11-6.
And Notre Dame calls a timeout with 6:14 left here in the fourth quarter. This will be the comeback of ages for Notre Dame if they can muster it. This is not a team that scores in bunches. Again, the winner of this game will face the number 2 seed, the Maryland Terrapins, next week at 3 o'clock at Johns Hopkins. We'll have coverage of that one for you on television, as well as the 1 o'clock game at Rutgers next week between North Carolina, and we do know Syracuse will be a part of that, as Syracuse a winner yesterday over Army at 12-3. But it appears, anyway, at this point, Quickcast Night, we're looking at another Maryland-Johns Hopkins confrontation. And again, in that case, 2 schools that know each other very well.
That's right. Last year in the semifinals, Hopkins took an undefeated team down to College Park, and they were upset by Dick Adele and the Terps 16-8, and really one of the stunning upsets in tournament history. Maryland, of course, their great goaltender Brian Doherty and their defense, and they're just a bunch of hustlers, and they make things happen. And Maryland's had a great season, only 2 losses, and you can count on the fact that they'll be ready to play.
And they did defeat Johns Hopkins in the regular season as well. So that could be the matchup. It appears to be the way that's heading, but still 6:14 remain in this contest. But again, we'll have that television coverage for you beginning at 1 o'clock next Sunday from Johns Hopkins University. And again, it's predetermined sites this year. We can see a nice crowd has turned out here in Annapolis, Maryland. It's something new they've done this year with the NCAA Championship, a chance to turn them into more like events as opposed to the mad scramble. When you know you're a host school, you really can prepare for it.
Yeah, there's going to be a little growing pains anytime you change something, and I'm sure the coaches who are in the first-round buys this year aren't particularly happy with it. But people in lacrosse have to look down the road. 5 years from now, where do we want to be as a sport? And I think 5 years from now, we'd like to get 15,000 people at these early tournament games. And I certainly think that this is a step in that direction.
That's a good point about the predetermined sites. Again, that's why even though Maryland is the number 2 seed in the tournament, they'll be facing Johns Hopkins next week if Johns Hopkins goes on to win at Johns Hopkins. Regardless, they were going to be playing somebody at Johns Hopkins next week. Notre Dame is trying to make the case that they will pull the upset. We'll see if that is in the offing, but does not look that way with 6:14 left. And just the way Johns Hopkins has taken over this game, Greg Glenday will face off again against Werner Krueger. What would you say, though, if you're Kevin Corrigan, the coach of Notre Dame?
Right now, down 11-6, you've got to pick up the defensive tempo, try to generate some turnovers, and everyone's got the green light to go to the cage.
And a turnover, as Brian Gilfillan was trying to feed Greg Glenday. But again, we talked about this earlier, when do you start to really put the pressure on? You start seeing some rides, and I think that's got to be now.
I think, yes, exactly. 6 minutes to go. They need 6 goals, and yet they've only scored 6 to this point. So it's just really a tough road ahead.
Werner Krueger ahead to Andrew Godfrey, and now Johns Hopkins with the possession. So what they've had the better part of here the second half. Dan Denahan, the freshman for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Denahan. Todd Rastus on him. Denahan now makes the dodge, gets around, tries to get the shot off. And it will be possession for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame.
Denahan, one of the brighter freshman players in the country, certainly has a bright future ahead of him. He'll miss Maher, though. Maher does a great job of getting him the ball in positions where he can score. But he's certainly going to be a threat for Hopkins over the next couple of years.
Dave Maher, the senior All-American for Johns Hopkins, the playmaker, and Notre Dame on the clear. And Carney comes up with it for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Milford Marchant. And again, Notre Dame having trouble on the clears, and that gives the possession right back to Johns Hopkins with 5 minutes left. So James Keenan offered some stick checks on Milford Marchant. It was awful deadly from his left side. Keenan better make sure he doesn't overstep, because Marchant's got that move. He's worked to success. Stick checked away by James Keenan. And Keenan able to scoop up as he tries to swing it forward. Marchant scoops it back. Now it's being batted around. And Andrew Godfrey will take the shot and hops over the crossbar on the ricochet. And now Evans, but we have a whistle. Timeout called. So Johns Hopkins calling a timeout with 4:32 left in the fourth quarter of play. 11-6 our score. The Blue Jays with the lead. We've got more coming in this first round game, the NCAA Lacrosse Championship.
It's tough to shine on the football field, but it's easy to shine on the road if you use Armor All Protectant on your car's vinyl and rubber. And here's great news. Now there's Armor All for the paint. New Armor Plate Paint Protectant. Armor Plate does for your paint what Armor All does for the rest of your car. Shines, protects, and really makes those colors pop. Beautiful. And you don't have to wreck your arm doing it. Boom! New Armor Plate Paint Protectant. Hey, it's like Armor All for your paint.
If you need extra strength medication to treat foot itch.
Corner, Johns Hopkins with possession and the lead, 11-6. Dave Maher trying to get around Todd Rassus. And inside to Adam Bob. We have a whistle or a flag on the field.
Interesting there. You think coming out of that huddle that Hopkins is going to work the ball around the outside and kill some clock. Notre Dame pressures him, and Dave Maher goes right to the goal. Puts the pressure on the Notre Dame defense and then draws the foul. So it was actually a good strategy by Maher.
During the timeout that was called by Johns Hopkins. Rassus getting the 1-minute slashing penalty as he was on Maher. So extra man situation for Johns Hopkins, but we were listening in on the huddle, and the mandate was not to allow any more than 6 goals. So Johns Hopkins trying to get out of here with the victory and also preserve that 11-6 lead and not even concede another one despite their cushion. Billy Evans sails over Dan Denahan's stick with 4:05 left now in regulation. The feed to Evans, he'll take the shot. Cade makes the save. Still Louis Kelly now tries to sweep it in. Maher is there, but Cade again is able to handle it. And now Notre Dame. They need to clear and need to get something going. Once again, that pressure applied by Johns Hopkins. Now Joe Bialis on the far side. We're working upfield with time. They need to get shots off. They need to keep pressure on when they lose the ball. James Keenan for Notre Dame. And Hopkins forcing him outside. Stick checked away.
We're going to have a slashing call against Hopkins. They got Keenan on the brim of his helmet. So the teams will actually be at even strength. I think it'll be a 5-on-5 for a couple seconds, and then the Notre Dame penalty will be released.
Todd Rassus off for 1-minute penalty.
Actually, the penalty was released as Keenan was circling the field there. So they will have the 6-on-5 advantage.
So Aaron Van Horn getting the 1-minute call. Just as another one ended for Notre Dame with 3:22 left. So now Notre Dame on the extra man will try to take advantage. Trailing 11-6. DeRiso with the feed to Erickson. Mahoney again to DeRiso. They're working outside. Keenan takes the shot. I mean, Notre Dame's possession. 3:02 left.
DeRiso and Keenan work very well together. The right-hander up top and the left-hander down below. It's a nice angle play they have going.
Now Erickson Good ball movement. James Keenan, the low drive. And once again, John Marcus, who so often this afternoon has had the answer with the big saves. Now the other way. Milford Marchand coming upfield for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. And then we have a whistle.
Rassus again with the slash.
So Todd Rassus only was out for about 35 seconds. So Tony's right back in. So with 2:35 left in the game, Johns Hopkins indeed looks like they're going to a quarterfinal meeting with number 2 seed Maryland next Sunday at Johns Hopkins. So extra man for Johns Hopkins. But again, the 11-6, Quinn, we talked about, it really is not the way this game worked.
No, it was real close early on, really through 3 quarters. Marcus made a couple humongous saves. I mean, just incredible saves. And I think Notre Dame got a little frustrated. And Hopkins continued to play good defense and then capitalized on their attempts. And that's the difference in the ball game. 2 pretty evenly matched ball clubs.
Dave Maher now for Johns Hopkins. Edzu Kelly. Billy Evans. Evans will take the shot. And it'll be Johns Hopkins maintaining the possession with 2:14 left in the 4th quarter. Good look at Evans, who got the scoring started today for Johns Hopkins.
He can bring it, that's for sure.
Milford Marchand now for the Blue Jays. Marchand now looking to get something for the right side. Works behind the cage with 2 minutes left. Now comes the other side, and he buries it. 12-6, and 4 goals now from Milford Marchand. And a big afternoon he has had is Johns Hopkins really is the second half, particularly also the 4th quarters when they really took over this game. It was a dead-even game at halftime.
Watch the speed of Milford Marchand operating behind the cage. Puts it into that 3rd gear, comes around, and Cade comes off the pipe. And Marchand's finishing his shots. You know, he generates a lot of shot opportunities for himself because of his speed. Question is, can he finish those opportunities? And today he has with 4 goals.
At 15 goals coming into today's game, 4 goals today. So big afternoon for Milford Marchand, a senior from Severna Park, Maryland. Very close to Annapolis, where we are. The time running out. Minute 39 left. Johns Hopkins with the 12-6 lead and effectively a pass into the quarterfinal round. Brian Gilfilla now for Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish played a very competitive schedule this year. And on that competitive schedule compiled a 9-3 mark. Will DeRiso. And work it back out to Tremonti. Now Joe Bialis. Bialis will take the shot. That goes wide right. Tony Reed's absence certainly also hurt Notre Dame. The talented midfielder who scored in this contest, but went out with an apparent knee injury. And we have a call from behind on Johns Hopkins. So with a minute 2 left, Notre Dame will have an extra man situation. But Tony Reed's absence, I think, hurt the midfield a lot for Notre Dame.
Yeah, it did. They don't have much offensive depth. Keenan seemed like he played the whole game. Notre Dame's a squad. You look up and down the roster, though, they're still young. Keenan's only a sophomore. The one Bialis is a sophomore. The senior defenseman, Bialis, obviously will graduate. Dussault's a freshman. Yep. So this is a team that will probably be seeing the playoffs for the next couple of years. And, you know, certainly I could see them winning another game in the playoffs down the road.
Won their first game ever last year in the first round against Duke Blue Devils. So 30-second interference call against Johns Hopkins. Notre Dame, though, ideally I think would like to get another goal before they get out of here. Into Burke Hayes. Burke Hayes with the shot, but they just cannot finish. Notre Dame again a chance here as this game winds down with 41 seconds left. About 11 seconds left on the extra man for the Fighting Irish. Burke Hayes now to Brian Erickson, Mahoney, and they work it around the perimeter. Chris Dussault, the freshman that Quinn talked about. Good feed to Burke Hayes, and he finishes. James Keenan finds Burke Hayes, and Hayes makes it a 12-7 game. But it was the feed by Keenan that really set up that play.
Talking about some of the underclassmen, Hayes only a sophomore. So Coach Corrigan certainly looking ahead to next year. Notre Dame not quitting, not rolling over. Watch the feed inside. Nice pass, catch, Lacrosse, handles, finishes to the offside Marcus from point-blank range.
And he's been difficult to beat this afternoon, even when it has been from point-blank range, as we saw, especially in the third quarter. So a face-off coming up here with 29 seconds left, and A.T. Bailey in to do some of the face-off work now for Johns Hopkins. Waning moments of this contest as we cap a wonderful weekend for the sport of lacrosse, the first weekend of the predetermined sites. James Keenan, Will DeRiso. Slapped away from DeRiso. And they're counting it down here in Annapolis, Maryland. 4 seconds left. 1 second, a whistle. I think we still have 1 second left on the clock before the celebration can begin for Johns Hopkins. But it will begin for Johns Hopkins. A 12-7 win for the Blue Jays in what was a very tight game, really until the fourth quarter. And there you have it. Game over. Johns Hopkins advances to a quarterfinal meeting with the Maryland Terrapins next Sunday at Johns Hopkins. A 3 o'clock face-off. It'll be part of another doubleheader of coverage as Tony Seaman congratulates his assistant coaches. And Milford Marchand, he is our Toyota player of the game. 4 goals on 13 shots this afternoon for Milford Marchand, our Toyota player of the game. And well-deserved in an effort by Johns Hopkins where we could pick a number of players, but Marchand came up with the big goals when they needed them.
Yeah, here he is scoring to make it 5-4 right there. Marchand, 4 goals, used his speed. Here he is again behind the cage, sweeping out front. Watch the speed right there. Gets by his man and beats Cade to the near side. That was late stage of the fourth quarter. Marchand shows up for the big game with 4 goals and a lot of domination between the lines with his speed.
So Milford Marchand, especially when Johns Hopkins needed a goal to extend their cushion on Notre Dame, he was the player who came up with it this afternoon. But really a great effort. Number of players, John Marcus in goal. John Gagliardi on defense for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. And Werner Krueger even coming up with so many of the face-offs to give Hopkins the possession. The final this afternoon, Johns Hopkins defeating Notre Dame 12-7.
When I took the high endurance challenge from Old Spice, I really thought it was going to be a challenge. I mean, this is a challenge. This is a sure thing. It evaporates less quickly. It also lasts longer, protects better. Old Spice guarantees it. Now, if you don't think it's the best, you call 1-800-PROVE-IT and they'll buy you a stick of your old deodorant. So if you're looking for a real challenge, go climb a mountain. If you're looking for the best deodorant, try high endurance from Old Spice. Because now you got proof. Guaranteed.
All right, son, let's see it.
You guys cops?
Poultry police. We got reports this here Long John's, a fish place, is serving tender, all white, battered chicken fillet. It's a unique taste for a paltry sum.
59 cents each.
59 cents. Nobody prices poultry at that price, pal.
Long John Silver's does.
It's the 59-cent chicken sale at Long John Silver's.
Just put it in the bag.
Evidence?
Lunch.
I used to think it would take me years to learn the techniques of master woodworkers until I got my hands on The Art of Woodworking from Time Life Books. These spiral-bound volumes bring you a lifetime of woodworking wisdom with safe, practical, step-by-step advice from expert woodworkers, from how to select and finish wood to the secrets of perfect joinery and how to build dozens of time-saving jigs.
Call this toll-free number to order cabinet making, now specially priced at just $9.99. Use your credit card and receive this free bonus video, Shop Secrets from Master Craftsmen. Future woodworking volumes will arrive once about every month at the regular price of $19.99. Keep only those you want. Cancel anytime. Keep the free video no matter what.
The Art of Woodworking gives you the confidence to tackle any project and the how-to advice to complete it with results you'll be proud of.
Call 1-800-253-8665 to order cabinet making, now specially priced at just $9.99. Use your credit card and get a free Shop Secrets video. Call now.
Dave Johnson, Quinn Kessling back in Annapolis, Maryland. Our doubleheader complete this afternoon. Johns Hopkins winning the second game in this first round. They beat Notre Dame 12-7 Big afternoon, as we mentioned, for our Toyota player of the game, Milford Marchant, with 4 goals. We take a look at our brine stats. The numbers did make up this contest, and it really was a pretty even game for a long stretch. Hopkins just exploding at the end.
Yeah, a couple of factors made the difference. Take a look at the stats, though. First, Hopkins outshot Notre Dame by 4 shots. Saves about even. Notre Dame made 19, Hopkins 16, but Marcus played outstanding. Most of those saves were from the inside. Exactly. Face-offs, that's a key differential right there. 6 face-offs, especially at key moments in the game. Whenever Notre Dame would try to make a run at Hopkins, it seemed like Krueger got the ensuing face-off and got Hopkins up by that 1 or 2 goal cushion. And finally, ground balls, extremely even, tied at 39.
Dead even almost, I think.
That's right.
That's about as close as you can get. So effectively, that's a good point about the face-offs. And really, it was a story of the game because once Johns Hopkins had the lead, they did a nice job of just negating, however, a face-off, an extra goal of Notre Dame really trying to get any kind of run against Johns Hopkins. And Notre Dame's not a type of team that's going to make a run at you anyway, or at least scores goals in bunches.
That's right. And anytime they did get some transition going, it seemed as if Marcus would make the huge save, or Gagliardi would make the turnover, and they'd be able to possess the ball on offense. And because of their possession time advantage, I think that wore down the Notre Dame defense eventually.
All right, we'll continue with our coverage this afternoon from Annapolis, Maryland. Again, the final in our second game. Johns Hopkins 12, Notre Dame 7. We're coming back for more. Stay with us.
When sports cream, when legs are sore, when backs ache, when muscles hurt. Wise Sports Cream, rubbing it in brings fast pain relief. No medicine-y smell. Wise Sports Cream, because it works.
This Mother's Day, give the gift of a lifetime. Beautiful skin from Oil of Olay. No moisturizer this light and greaseless leaves skin softer. That's why more women use it, for a lifetime of beautiful skin.
If you've ever struggled with a handheld trimmer, you'll love this revolutionary new kind of trimmer on wheels. Just look how easy it rolls on those 2 big wheels and glides in any direction on this front-mounted mobile. It's perfect for trimming around rocks, along fences, ponds and ditches, and in all those hard-to-reach corners. The new DR is also a mower. It cuts tall grass, waist-high weeds, even wet grass and rough areas with never-before ease. It even works as a brush cutter. You'll just love what the DR Trimmer Mower can do for you and your property. A big color catalog is just $2. Call toll-free 1-800-253-8665. That's 1-800-253-8665 for your big color catalog all about the revolutionary DR Trimmer Mower.
Dave Johnson, Quinn Kesselnick back in Annapolis, Maryland. Johns Hopkins with a 12-7 victory this afternoon over the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So, Johns Hopkins advances to a quarterfinal match against the Maryland Terrapins next weekend, although it's their home field, only their home field because it's a predetermined site, and that's a match I think a lot of people in lacrosse looking forward. They always look forward to the Hopkins-Maryland match.
What a rivalry that is, and next week is just going to be a war. Hopkins losing to Maryland during the regular season by 4 goals, losing to them last year by 8 goals in the playoffs. So a lot of revenge for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Maryland the higher seed, yet they have to come to Hopkins to play the Blue Jays. Real tough.
And we'll obviously see 2 very good goaltenders. In fact, we saw one today in John Marcus, and for the viewers at home, they're going to see another great one in Brian Doherty next week for the Maryland Terrapins. Yeah,
but in my opinion, those are the 2 best goalies in the country. Doherty rating slightly higher than Marcus, but the last 2 games, Marcus has just been outstanding.
And maybe it's a Hopkins team that's playing well at the right time. Of course, getting into the playoffs with a 6-5 record, it was a very difficult season for Johns Hopkins.
I think they're learning to play within themselves and learning that, hey, we can't score 14, 15 goals, but if we play good defense and control the ball, we can still win lacrosse games. And that's, in the playoffs, all it comes down to. Whether you win 2-1 or 16-15, a win is a win and you advance.
And a win is a win. It's a win for Johns Hopkins today, so they will advance. Again, that's another doubleheader next week at Johns Hopkins. It actually starts with a game at 12 noon between Harvard and Virginia. But Annapolis, Maryland, the place this afternoon. We saw 2 games here this afternoon. Towson State beating Loyola in the first one 16-11, and Johns Hopkins beating Notre Dame in the second one 12-7. Today's NCAA Lacrosse Championship brought to you by Your friends at Toyota. For quality and value that's simply the best, see your Toyota dealer today. And by Brine, the power behind the game. By Lax World, the Lacrosse Superstore. For a free catalog, call 1-800-PLAY-LAX. This is Dave Johnson for Quentin Kesselnick saying goodbye from Annapolis, where this afternoon Johns Hopkins defeated Notre Dame 12-7. Don't forget, next weekend, Harvard will meet number 3 Virginia. And in the second quarterfinal, Johns Hopkins will take on number 2 Maryland. Check your local listings for the times and channel, and we'll see you next week.
Is making its 9th consecutive appearance in the NCAA Championship. The Greyhounds secured a spot in this tournament by winning their last 5 games by an average margin of 6 goals, en route to a 7-5 record for the Loyola Greyhounds. Meantime, local rival and number 8 seed Towson State started the season with 2 losses before finishing strong by winning 8 of their last 9 games, including 5 straight to conclude their season. The Tigers boast an 8-4 record. Today, in their second meeting of the season, these 2 lacrosse powers from the state of Maryland will test each other to see who is worthy of advancing to the NCAA quarterfinals next week. It's the Loyola Greyhounds taking on the Towson State Tigers, up next on Prime. From Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in Annapolis, Maryland, it's the first round of the 1996 NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championship. This afternoon, the 7-5 Loyola College Greyhounds take on the 8-4 Towson State Tigers. Annapolis, Maryland, one-time nation's capital, current state capital of Maryland, and today, capital of lacrosse, as we have NCAA first-round action for you. Hello, I'm Dave Johnson, and welcome to Prime Network's coverage of the 1996 NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championship. This afternoon, Loyola and Towson State, 2 schools separated only by about 10 minutes in geography, but a little bit different in terms of their style on the lacrosse field. My broadcast partner is the one and only Quentin Kesselnick. And Quint, as we talk about this matchup this afternoon between Loyola and Towson State, I think it's definitely a contrast of styles.
That's right, Dave. We've got Loyola, who wants to slow the game down. They want to play a half-field type of ball game. And Towson, who wants to create a helter-skelter, a chaotic lacrosse game with a lot of transition up and down the field.
Now, what about this wind behind us? Is it going to be a factor this afternoon?
I don't think so. The only thing with the wind is sometimes it gets noisy inside the lacrosse helmets, and the coaches have problems communicating with the players on the field. But otherwise, it's an ideal day for lacrosse.
Something maybe the players like. They won't be able to hear the coaches with the wind, as it turns out. So, indeed, could be a factor. A lot of rain in the area, so one thing about the wind, it was able to dry up the field. So, indeed, this afternoon, we have the Towson State Tigers, Loyola Greyhounds. It should be a very interesting matchup. These 2 schools often play close matches when they get together. We expect the same this afternoon. We're coming back with the starting lineups and face-off. In Annapolis, Maryland, our coverage of the 1996 Men's Lacrosse Championship, the Loyola Greyhounds and the Towson State Tigers, first-round action this afternoon as we look at the Loyola College Greyhounds. And this is a team, really, Quint, I think the backbone of the team is their defense, very strong defense. But when they go on offense, the guy we have to talk about, Brian Baxo, he can put it in the net.
One of the premier midfielders in the country with 32 goals this season, and he draws the opponent's best defenseman. So Baxo can really go to the cage. He's got 12 assists. He's a threat to score, and he's a threat to give it up.
So the big concern this afternoon for the Towson State Tigers, and another concern, a guy who often takes the feeds from this man, Brian Duffy. He is really the playmaker for Loyola College Greyhounds.
That's right. He's the quarterback of their offense. He's such a smart player. He understands the game plans, and he understands the opponent. Look for Duffy to control the ball an awful lot for Loyola.
All right, Brian Duffy for Loyola College Greyhounds. Now, as we talk about the Towson State Tigers, and indeed they're ready to get back into the NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championship play this afternoon,
Kevin Sturm really is a wonderful story. Here's a guy, 37 goals, but he almost wasn't on the team.
He's a sophomore. Not the greatest athlete, but he can shoot. He's shooting about 44%. Anytime he gets the ball in front of the cage, he's a threat to score. He's done it all year. It's a great story.
Yeah, great story. I mean, he had to prove himself in the preseason just to be on the squad. Now he's become somewhat of the go-to guy for the Towson State Tigers. A guy who really has a nose for the goal, though, from the midfield, Tim Langton.
Langton's got great size, great speed. He's an initiator from up top. Look for Loyola to slide quickly to stop Langton as he tries to score his 24th goal of the year. He's got 23 goals.
All right, a look at the teams. When we come back, the starting lineups and face-off, we get closer to Loyola and Towson State NCAA lacrosse action from Annapolis, Maryland.
Couple quick keys. Offensively, Towson, I give them the advantage. Loyola's going to play his own defense. We'll see how Towson matches up against that zone. Defensively, Loyola has a lot of different players who can beat you. Brendan Fry, the face-off man, Jamie Hanford, an excellent defense for Loyola. Special teams, I rate Loyola just slightly ahead of Towson. I think their extra man unit and their extra man defense is a little better than Towson. But the intangibles, I give Towson a strong advantage there. They're a hot team right now. They're playing their best lacrosse here in May.
And the Towson State Tigers quickly bringing on the attack. It was Hanford trying to win the face-off for Loyola, but Todd Paradise winning it for the Towson State Tigers. The Towson State Tigers in the white jerseys, Loyola Greyhounds in the green jerseys. Underway again. Only 10 minutes separate these two schools in North Baltimore. And they met in the regular season with Towson State winning in overtime 12-11. But that's been the history of these two schools. Close games, Quinn.
Yeah, anytime these two teams meet, it's going to go down to the wire. It's usually a 1 or 2 goal game, as it was earlier this year.
Towson State trying to quickly come on the attack, and an opportunity here, but again we see that close defense has been so talented, and Jamie Hanford really coming up big there from the Loyola College Greyhounds.
Yeah, Matt Clune tried to take it underneath the Loyola defense, but Loyola did a good job helping out, and Brown held his ground. Clune turned it over.
Should point out Jim Brown starting in goal this afternoon for the Loyola College Greyhounds. Brian Whalen for the Towson State Tigers. So it's Loyola now on the attack in the green jerseys. We'll see what they bring to the contest this afternoon. Brian Duffy with the ball again. He's the playmaker.
That's right. Duffy behind the cage, and this is Baxo, the big, strong midfielder.
Baxo try to get a shot off. Loyola will maintain the possession, though. And again, they work it behind the cage. Loyola College Greyhounds. Under head coach Dave Cottle, the Towson State Tigers, under the direction of Carl Watt. Once again, Brian Duffy working in front. The Towson State defense working hard. And they're able to close down the option for Loyola. Now Towson State, they would like to do this. Get in transition, keep the tempo up. Towson State Tigers now coming on the attack. The shot taken, the save made by Jim Brown as Barry Headings was coming through midfield, taking the shot for the Towson State Tigers.
This is the pace of the game that favors Towson, this up and down action. Loyola wants to settle the ball down right now on offense. Make these Towson State midfielders play some defense. Loyola doesn't have that much depth on defense, Dave. Excuse me, on offense. They only have about 4 midfielders that they consider top-notch midfielders, and therefore they're going to try to rest those players as much as they can by controlling the ball.
Ryan Smith having some trouble on the far sideline as Mason Ray, one of the midfielders for the Towson State Tigers, working him out of play. So tough time for Brian Smith as he went past the restraining line back to try to collect the loose ball.
Nice effort by Mason Ray there. Just all over the Loyola midfielder on the sideline. Towson will play you all over the field. There's no give me clear. You know, you just can't walk the ball up against this squad. They play between the lines very well. They are a faster team than Loyola.
If you're new to lacrosse, 4 15-minute quarters, 12 minutes, 32 seconds left here in the first quarter of this lacrosse championship game. Todd Paradise on the ball now for the Towson State Tigers. They work it out to the wing, and the Tigers quickly come on the attack.
He's got an excellent right-handed shot. He likes the underhand right-handed shot.
Mason Ray try to create some space. Back to Todd Paradise to work it around the perimeter. In Loyola, this is their strong point, though, the close defense of the Greyhounds. And Jim Brown really came through in goal this season for the Loyola College Greyhounds.
Yeah, he's a redshirt freshman. He's got excellent size, and he has made all the saves he's needed to make. He's not a flashy goalie, but he doesn't make many mistakes.
Evan Travis directing traffic, and now Mason Ray coming through will take the shot and just skims by the near post. It'll be Towson's possession.
Mason Ray loves the right-handed shot. He can light it up. His shot is up in the 90-mile-per-hour range. And that time Loyola knew his shot, and they came rushing out at him. He did a beautiful face dodge, and he just missed the net.
Matt Clune trying to find the net for the Towson State Tigers. Kevin Storm working well behind. They call him the Storminator. Sturm now on the ball for the Towson State Tigers. Good feed in the middle. The shot taken. It's in the net. And a goal for the Towson State Tigers. Michael Stroman with the goal. And it's 1-0 Towson State.
Excellent recognition by Towson State. Loyola went from a man-to-man defense to a zone right there. And you can see Stroman. He'll cut right down the middle of the field into the seam of the zone right there. Beautiful shot to the offside. Nothing Brown could do about that. Towson up 1-0. Here it is again. Look at the feed inside. Stroman a little jump. And decent defense right there. The defense is right in his face, but he makes the tough shot.
And the assist made by Kevin Sturm on the feed to Michael Stroman. So he gets the first goal of the game. So the Towson State Tigers in the white jerseys. And now, battle for the ground ball. Punching check applied as Loyola College Greyhounds. Eric Gervais was trying to get upfield. Loyola under pressure. They work back into their own defensive zone. And Jim Brown now feeling the pressure from Towson State. And we have a whistle on the play.
Looks like we're going to have an offsides call against Loyola. Towson's going to control on the near side. Referees, you can take a look at some of the Loyola assistant coach. That's Jim Brown, redshirt freshman out of St. Mary's, which is right down the road here in Annapolis. So I'm sure he feels pretty comfortable in this area.
Let me quickly explain the offside. Well, you need to keep 4 defensemen back in your own half and 3 of your attackmen forward. Towson State Tigers now. Another chance on the attack.
Loyola's going to switch up their defenses against Towson, so it'll be very important that Towson recognizes what defense Loyola's in and attacks accordingly.
Matt Clune, now they work it behind the cage. This is Travis for the Towson State Tigers. Towson State with the 1-0 lead. Well, we're trying to close down the options, but they work it in tight. The shot going off the crossbar for the Towson State Tigers. The Tigers, Kevin Sturm, trying to find the net. Now Loyola will try to control it. The Greyhounds. Chris Lloyd, close defenseman, now with the big stick, bringing it up for the Greyhounds.
It was real nice passing by Towson to find the open man, but the shot hit the pipe. That's the second pipe shot for Towson. So they're doing a nice job offensively. 2 opportunities, though, have failed to have been capitalized on.
Brian Duffy now for the Loyola College Greyhounds. He'll work it behind the cage. Loyola trailing 1-0, getting the green jerseys, Towson State in the white. First round action, NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championship. The winner of this match will play the number 1 seed in the championship this year, the Princeton Tigers. Loyola trying to create the offensive opportunities. Eamon McCormick into the contest. And they work it to Duffy. Duffy trying to get the feed. Making the cut for Loyola was Mike Keeney. Once again, Loyola trying to maintain possession. They work it behind. Chris George-Alice. George-Alice on the ball now for the Greyhounds. Back to Eamon McCormick. McCormick now trying to elude the defensive pressure applied by Towson State, and it's difficult now for Loyola. Good defense by Towson.
Yeah, you can see how slippery the field is. It's tough on both the offensive and defensive players.
Tim Langton scooping up. The loose ball applies the pressure. Takes a check, and now Langton looking for some help, surveying his surroundings.
This is a good matchup for Langton. He's got a decided size advantage right here. Look for Langton to take the ball to the cage here later on in this possession.
Spencer Ford with the ball now for the Towson State Tigers, and the Tigers quickly working around, looking for their opening against a Loyola defense that at times can be very unforgiving. The shot taken, Jim Brown able to scoop it up. Now loose just outside. Brown way out now, and he's just going to clear it. Scramble for the ground ball. Towson State does well win possession.
They're a hustling team. They're a faster team, and they're hustling. They're hungry. You can see there was 3 white jerseys compared to only 1 green jersey on that last ground ball.
Tim Langton taking the shot in Jim Brown under pressure. So far the game probably has gone Towson's way. They've been able to use some of that athleticism. Loyola College Greyhounds, Mike Keeney bringing it up. They're trying to turn things around. Down 1-0. Ryan Duffy. We'll see a lot of them behind the cage looking to make the feed.
Yeah, we're halfway into the first quarter here, and Loyola has not had a shot yet on goalie Brian Whalen. So Towson doing a good job defensively.
Chris George-Alice trying to change that for the Loyola College Greyhounds. It will be Loyola's possession. 1-0 remains our score here. Towson State with the lead here in the first quarter. As Quint mentioned, just about halfway through the first quarter. The 15-minute first quarter. Loyola College Greyhounds on the attack. Mark O'Brien time, patient with it. Now to Chris Georgalis. Now Brian Smith on the left side. Look at the shot difference. Again, Towson's defense has been steady to the answer. Dan Luciano coming up with a loose ball, and now the Tigers. In transition, the Tigers now. Full head of Steve Lee Williams. They work it in close. Now the shot will be taken by Travis. The save, though, made by Jim Brown.
Beautiful defensive play by Lee Williams of Towson. Nice save by Brown. Not much of an angle on that shot, and as I mentioned earlier, Brown's a big goalie. He takes up a lot of the cage. That time, he was waiting on the low shot and made the save.
Lower College try to come on the attack as again Lee Williams applying the pressure. He came up with the last loose ball situation, trying to feed it into the middle, but Brian Whalen gets that stick out. The goalie for Towson State makes the interception.
Whalen's a senior. Brown for Loyola's a freshman. You've got to give Whalen a little advantage as far as experience is concerned. Save percentage-wise, Brown has him by 10 percentage points. Whalen only saves by 53% of the shots he's faced this year, but he's excellent with the stick, and he really keys their transition games with interceptions like that and with excellent outlet passes.
Towson State Tigers with 6:03 left here in the first quarter with the 1-0 lead. Dave Johnson, Quint Kesting with you from Annapolis, Maryland. Matt Clune now on the ball, attackman for the Towson State Tigers. They're working behind the cage to Kevin Travis. Michael Stroman, who has the lone goal now with the ball for the Towson State Tigers. Stroman trying to get in tight, takes the shot. That went off the post. Another shot, that's 3 off the post, I think we've counted. So Jim Brown getting some help this afternoon, the goalie for Loyola College Greyhounds. That Loyola transition quickly working. Brian Duffy, he gets it in tight, and it's in the net. A goal for the Loyola College Greyhounds. Mike Keeney is able to thread it. Actually make that tip.
Gaywash Schindler.
Gaywash Schindler getting the goal.
The freshman left-hander finishing up that fast break. And it all started with the pipe shot, Towson's third pipe shot. And here it is. Watch them bring it down. They'll set up in their L formation. Nice job done by the point man. That's Greg Carroll to Duffy. Quick release. And Schindler beats Whalen to the near side. You'd like Whalen to be a little more over towards the pipe. Watch, you'll get a perfect angle right here. He beats him to the near side. Look at Whalen. Very aggressive goaltending at the top of his crease. Nice fast break, keyed by Carroll, and Schindler finishes the opportunity, and we're tied.
Gaywash Schindler, as you pointed out, just a freshman from the Syracuse area. 22 goals, making now 23 on the season. We have a tie game, so Loyola College Greyhounds in the green jerseys getting on the board, and now they're trying to come back for more. Brian Duffy gets it knocked away by Eric Vannigs. Vannigs for Towson State. Trying to clear it, and now Towson State. It'll be Spencer Ford to bring it through midfield for the Towson State Tigers. So 1-1 game in this first round NCAA Lacrosse Championship game. Towson State now on the attack in the white jerseys. Once again, it comes behind to Kevin Travis. Todd Paradise for the Tigers. He's patient. Didn't spend too much time out there, though. Tigers get a shot off, and they also get a goal. Michael Stroman gets his second of the afternoon. And it's 2-1. Towson State reclaims the lead. Michael Stroman.
Stroman came into this game with 11 goals. He's got 2. Coach Carl Ruck's got to be happy. Watch the premature slide by Loyola. They'll double up here very quickly on Todd Paradise. And that shot deflected off the pipe and into the cage. Stroman with his second beautiful shot. Remember, the first shot he took went to the off-stick side. This time it went to the stick side. Look at that quick double team by number 3 of Loyola, leaving Stroman with the open shot. Beautiful accuracy right there.
So Brian Opie trying to help out the Loyola College Greyhounds, but instead Michael Stroman able to get the shot off and the goal. And we have a 2-1 lead for Towson State with 4:24 left here in the first quarter of play.
Serious hit by Jack Kopis of Towson, dumping Duffy to the turf. Towson is a physical ball club. They're going to treat this game like a war. Loyola's going to be a little more strategically oriented. Towson just wants to mug you.
In that sense, again, they're trying to create a high-tempo type of game, which is exactly the opposite of what Loyola is trying to create this afternoon. Greyhounds right now trying to create a scoring opportunity, and working very well to do just that is Mark O'Brien. The Greyhounds maintain the attack, and once again, it's O'Brien. It's Brian Whalen with the save at Towson State. Able to dodge the danger, at least for now. 3:54 left, first quarter. Towson State Tigers trying to come back on the attack. Kevin Travis.
Sensational save by Whalen on those low shots. He was a hockey goalie in high school, Dave, up at Canterbury School in Connecticut. When you're shooting on Whalen from in tight, I think you want to shoot high instead of low. He's very good at getting down low in those shots.
Don't make those kick saves like you see in hockey. It's a little bit unorthodox, really, for a lacrosse goalie. Spencer Ford for the Towson State Tigers. They work it in tight to Kevin Travis, and Travis puts it in the net. 3-1 lead, Towson State. Nice play.
Spencer Ford, only a freshman, yet he sees the field so well from the midfield position. He finds Travis all alone on the backside. Ford, really more of a feeder than a shooter. Watch the look right there, all alone on the backside, between the legs of Brown. Beautiful pass by Ford to Travis, who's really come along this year with 22 goals. Here it is again. Travis all alone on the backside, and he cans it. Beautiful look by Spencer Ford.
3-1 now our score, so Towson State with the lead on Loyola College Greyhounds. On the faceoff, Jamie Hanford working hard for the Greyhounds. He is able to win it, but has to now elude the pressure. Brian Duffy. Duffy getting some pressure from behind by Matt Clune, but the attackman will have to stay home. And now Brian Duffy will engineer the Loyola College Greyhound attack. Duffy sets up behind the cage.
The regular season matchup between these two teams was really controlled by Towson. They led 11-5, and then Loyola went on a 7-goal run with 8 minutes to go in the game. This game looks to be shaping up the same way, with Towson getting out to that early spurt, and Loyola's going to have to play catch-up, which hurts them because then they can't play their zone defense. When you're trailing in a game, it's very tough to play your zone.
Loyola College Greyhounds, patient, working around Eamon McCormick. Back to McCormick. Taking the shot into goal. It's in the net for Loyola College Greyhounds. Brian Smith is able to beat Brian Whalen. And Loyola makes it a 1-goal game.
Towson played a little zone defense, and they got burnt by the right-handed cannon of Smith. Watch it right here. You give a guy like this time and room. He catches it. He has time to set his feet and just let that one rip. Nothing the goalie can do about that. When a player has that kind of time and room to look at the cage, to set his feet and really let it go, that ball's moving. That's going to be a tough save right there.
And you should know it as a former goalie at Hopkins. So Quinn Keswick speaks from experience. Gaywa Schindler with a nice feed on the assist for the Loyola College Greyhounds. 3-2 is our score. Jim Brown going out for Loyola, and now the Greyhounds after the faceoff. They worked it back, now they work it forward. Tough defensive pressure. Brian Whalen will stop Mark Fry's progression, but we have a penalty flag, and this is our first penalty of the afternoon.
It's going to be a 30-second holding violation against Towson. Take a look at the save right here. Whalen holding his ground, comes out stick on stick. He's right there. You can see how active a goalie he is. He's at the top of the crease. Conversely, the Loyola goalie, Jim Brown, likes to play real far back in the cage. So again, two contrasting styles in the goaltending situation.
Matt Dolsky gets called for the penalty. He's holding. He was holding Mark Fry for Loyola College Greyhounds. So for the next 30 seconds, extra man opportunity.
Defensively, Towson now with 5 players. They look to rotate and slide their 5 players in a 5-man rotation. It's a couple different ways to play this.
30 seconds for the Greyhounds out west as the penalty started, and the Greyhounds trying to find the open man. Chris Georgialis. Brian Baxo. Duffy makes the feed. Shot taken, and it's blocked. Nice work on the part of Towson State. Ian Wilde, defensive midfielder, coming up the block. Another shot taken, and Whalen able to be there as Georgialis was dumped to the turf after he took the shot. And Towson State able to negate Loyola on that extra man situation.
Yeah, big play by Ian Wildley, stepping out and taking that shot in the chest, and then Whalen comes up with a big save in front. Loyola, nice ball movement there. They got 2 quality shots. Unfortunately, if you're a Loyola fan, they didn't finish them.
And that's what they need to do to equalize this game. It's 3-2, though, 1-goal game with 1:06 left. Here in the first quarter of play, we're in Annapolis, Maryland. Once again, Eamon McCormick starts things for the Greyhounds. Chris Georgialis is up and back after taking that hit, and once again, the pressure applied. Good defensive work on the part of the Towson State Tigers. Eric Manning's trying to scoop up the ground ball. He's got the big stick, and he's waving it for Towson State. But once again, Brian Duffy now for the Loyola College
Greyhounds. Duffy trying to get the feed to McCormick. McCormick could not pull the trigger. Ryan Baxo now for Loyola. He's the goal scorer. Takes the shot, and with the save, Brian Whalen.
Whalen's seeing the ball very well right now. He's made about 4 saves in a row. He looks confident after giving up that early goal in this game.
So the Towson State Tigers are not getting anything in transition. Loyola. Now Towson State, another chance here now as the Tigers quickly coming fast. Kevin Stern will take the shot, but Jim Brown equal to the task at the other end.
Nice save. That's one you would probably want to put downstairs, put down low as your shooter. Brown all over that, right up into his stick.
All right, so 15 minutes of NCAA Lacrosse Championships in the books. And it is the Towson State Tigers with a 3-2 lead on the Loyola College Greyhounds.
All right, son, let's see it.
You guys cops?
Poultry police. We got reports this here Long John's, a fish place, is serving tender, all white batter-dipped chicken fillet. It's a unique taste for a paltry sum.
59 cents each.
59 cents. Nobody prices poultry at that price, pal.
Long John Silver's does.
It's the 59-cent chicken sale at Long John Silver's.
Just put it in the bag. Evidence?
Lunch.
When sports cream, when legs are sore, when backs ache, when muscles hurt. Wise Sports Cream, rubbing it in brings fast pain relief. No medicine-y smell. Wise Sports Cream, because it works.
I'm Mary Major, and these are real people, not actors, who are taking advantage of TRN's exceptional psychics. I'm about to find out how it's going. Michelle, how was your free sample reading?
It was excellent. I'm shocked.
Basically, all I told her was my name and my birth date. That's it. And she told me everything else, and she made me a believer.
He was like, well, it could be mother to be. And I said, well, I am pregnant.
She told you things that nobody would know about you unless they knew you personally.
Exactly. I felt like she was just right with me and knew my life as soon as I picked up the phone.
It was nice. We laughed and everything. She made you feel comfortable. And it was great. It was nice.
They told me everything about my life, every step I'm going to take, and I didn't even tell them anything, just my name, my birthday, and, she's just telling me everything from there.
Looks like you guys found the right people. For one, someone's found the right people.
For your free sample reading, call now on 800-461-6691.
We're not an overly big team on the offensive end. We're quick, we're agile, we have decent sticks, and I think we have some, we're not the deepest team, but I think we have some key players that really have to carry the load for us. And you'll see in the game that we play some guys an awful lot during the game.
Words of Dave Connell, the very talented head coach of the Loyola College Greyhounds, now in his 14th year. In fact, he guided Loyola to #1 rankings in 1992 and 94, now trying to guide them through the 1996 NCAA Championship.
A model of consistency, the Loyola program. They've been in the top 10 in the country every single week since 1987. It's almost a 10-year stint where they have been in the elite of lacrosse.
All right, second quarter action here. Todd Paradise to face it off against Jamie Hanford. Hanford for Loyola, Paradise for Towson State. And Paradise working off against one of the best face-off men of Loyola College now, Brian Duffy. Able to try to trigger a quick attack for Loyola College Greyhound. And we possession now to the Towson State Tigers.
Yeah, that face-off battle is going to be interesting because Towson's had some injuries at the face-off position. Paradise only a freshman facing Hanford, the sophomore, who faces off with that long stick. Hanford is really the only long stick face-off specialist in the country, and it poses a lot of problems. It's a lot different. If you don't get it quickly initially, Hanford is all over you. He's extremely quick and very vicious and violent as you're trying to scoop the ball.
Your thoughts on that first quarter? Towson State with the lead. Are things going their way? Loyola starting to creep back in this?
Late stages of the first quarter, it looked like Loyola was starting to get things going offensively. First half of the first quarter, you'd have to say Towson really controlled the tempo, controlled the game.
Kevin Travis trying to control things for the Towson State Tigers. He's taking the stick work of Loyola defenders. Good ball movement on the part of the Towson State Tigers. Spencer Ford makes the feed behind to Kevin Travis. Travis once again finds pressure wherever he goes. Put to the turf, but once again Spencer Ford is there to scoop things up for the Towson State Tigers. Matt Kuhn now behind will make the feed out front. Now taking a shot. Kevin Stern
But it is Jim Brown and makes the save on a shot that had a lot of spice.
Brown has got Sturm's number. Loyola playing their zone defense, and that kind of shot is typical when you play a zone defense. That was about a 12-yard shot, and you hope your goaltender can make that save, and Brown comes up big for Loyola right there.
Spencer Ford once again comes up, though, for Towson State as Loyola having trouble getting through the midfield, but now a turnover on the part of Towson State. And Todd Quenzer coming up with the Loyola College Greyhounds, but Towson State, they are keeping the pressure on, and Spencer Ford once again. Ford will take a low shot, it's in the net. It's in the net, a goal for the Towson State Tigers. And Ford goes low, and the result is high for Towson State.
Sloppy play there, the initial part of that play, and Ford got the ball and realized no one was playing him. Watch him right here. He's looking to feed, and all of a sudden he changes his mind. Says, hey, what the heck, I'm going to take it in. Drops his stick low, and Brown was all over that. It looks like it just skipped under his stick. Take a look at this goal again. Here's Ford on the right side. He's looking for help, but heck, no one picks him up, so he just keeps coming to the cage. And that's probably one that Brown will look at later and say that he should have had, because he was all over it. He just didn't get his stick down.
It looked like the Loyola defense was still trying to organize itself, and Ford is much more of a feeder than a shooter, so I think it surprised a lot of people, and obviously the Loyola defense.
He's only a freshman, too. Spencer Ford, one of the highly recruited players out of the Maryland Scholastic ranks last season.
Mark Fry with the ball now for the Loyola College Greyhounds as the Greyhounds quickly bring it forward.